All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Talk That Talk Tuesday. Hey, listen, we're about to get it in. I'm hoping and praying that everybody had a great day. I'm praying that you guys had a joyous weekend, a 3-day weekend for some people with Labor Day. But I'm here tonight because I just want to say something before I move out of your way, because tonight the subject of our show is our grandmothers and mothers' secrets, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Have you ever wondered why little Daryl was so bright or so yellow, and everybody else was jet black in the family, or vice versa? Everybody was so yellow and sunshiny, and there was one dark night in the family. You ever wondered that? Did you think that they stayed in the sun too long? These ladies are going to come tell you the truth tonight. We're going to talk about grandmamas and grandmothers' secrets on tonight. And so I'm glad you're here. Go ahead, let's do some housekeeping here. Hit the like button, subscribe button. If you want to give to the channel, you know you can do that with a Cash App or a Super Chat. All right? Get in the chat. Let us know what you think. Give us your questions. Give us your comments. Get in their comments tonight and just let them go. But also be respectful. And we're about to get it in. Now, I want to go to the chat because we got SBU in the building tonight. Yes, indeed. We got Lost in Translation in the building tonight. Thank you for being here, Lost. And listen, y'all, we got a new member of this channel tonight. Take heed to the message. It's in the building tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Sugar. I appreciate you so much for being a new member. And Mrs. She Said is in the building tonight as well. All right, guys. So we're about to get started. After this intro, you'll see the ladies up here. And they're about to get this in. We're going to start out with Brickgate, guys. Everybody's been talking about Brickgate. But I got a nice group of women here who has their own perspective on Brickgate. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after the intro.
All right. Shout out to Black Man Unfiltered. That was a nice intro.
I know, right?
The family, all the kids, the community. Oh, it's beautiful. We appreciate you, brother, for all that you do. All right, look at all these beautiful ladies. Hey, y'all.
Good evening.
Hello.
Take heed. Miss Anissa in the building. Miss Ashley in the building. Hey, love. This from Texas is here. All right, security boss is in the building. Beautifully animated Speaks is in the damn building. Y'all better watch out. How y'all ladies doing?
Good to you.
Wonderful.
I'm doing good. I love this beginning topic Black Man Unfiltered has chosen for the night, man. Our mothers and grandmothers, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Man, some lessons. I'm sure you ladies have gotten some, and we definitely would like to hear some of those jewels. We can
Boy,
go
everybody
around.
quiet.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Everybody went quiet.
I got a lot of street jewels. I'm just saying.
She said a lot of street jewels. Okay.
Where you come from, you know, you get that kind of common sense. I'm just saying.
That's what
It's true.
they use it interchangeably.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what we're gonna start with, the good, the bad, or the ugly?
So where shall we begin? Oh, brick me. Mm.
Well, if we talking about
Well.
secrets, I was talking to my sisters before we came on the show, and I was telling them about the show, and I had mentioned to them.
Look who the host is. Look who the host is.
What's the?
She said,
Yes. I am here.
Who was that?
Who was that?
In the background.
Do something about that, because everybody is not taking care of their stuff. So if it does not apply to you, let it fly. But a lot of you chicks out here.
That's me.
Okay.
I think that came from Mr. Boss, huh?
I don't know who said that in the background, but that was me. But sister, you was telling us something. You was speaking to your sisters before you came over here. You want to finish elaborating on that?
Well, we was speaking on a ugly, which was my mom and grandmother. They're both Mississippi women. Grew up in a small town in Mississippi called Louisville, and like the talk of this is my grandmother's mother, and the talk of when the men would go out and sharecrop or look for other work and leave the women there with the kids for so long while they're out working, and they come back. Great grandma is pregnant and she has a baby that looks nothing like grandpa that went out to work. And grandpa, he just take care of the kids. He don't say nothing. He just take care of the kids. And he don't mention, like, I've been gone for this long and how this happened. Don't nobody say nothing. And then it gets to where my grandma is, I think she was over 20. And actually finding out who her actual father is and knowing that this name she has isn't really her name, and she gave that name to all her kids, which is my last name now, and something that is like I've actually been thinking about changing my last name or going without a last name, because at this point it's like, well, I don't even I mean, I think I possibly could trace and get down to, because I think I know the last name of the father that she finally found out who was her actual father. But now it's just like, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Really, I was thinking about it, and I got the paper as far as how to go through the name change. And I was going to just have my name as X. No lie. Like it was Alexis X. But that's the type of stuff that we go through, and we're adults and we realizing that stuff. And it's like even then talking to my grandma and talking to her and like, grandma, well, you found out that who your real father was. Why didn't you like change it? Or like, asking her these questions. And she's just like, well, and that's exactly how she did it. Like, well, and I'm just like, okay. But That's the ugly that I've struggled with, especially down in Mississippi, because in the small towns in the country states, they sleeping with each other. Like my mom has a sister who is her cousin as well. So my grandma's cousin slept with my grandma's man and had a baby. So my mom and my aunt slash cousin look like twins because both of their mothers are cousins, and then they got the same daddy. Yeah, but that was the ugly.
Man, I can relate to the name situation.
Yeah.
Everybody's if anybody's not talking, please mute. There's some clicking here.
Yeah. I heard it too.
Don't mute unless you want to talk.
I got something similar.
These names.
I grew up with my aunt, one of my aunts, being close with all my family, right? And then in my adult years, my mom tells me that one of her sisters is a half sister. Huh? So they have different fathers. I was like, huh? So I call my grandfather Papa on my mom's side, Papa. She said that Papa had to leave for some time for work, and so he asked one of his friends to look after his family. He looked after his family, all right. Right? She said, you got to take that sip because wow. And Papa didn't know until the friend came over one time. He said, He could really pay attention to the features. Now, my grandmother, her family has strong features. Like we all look alike. So so it's like kind of obvious, you know what I'm saying? When everybody over here looks the same, but that one. But yeah, I have a half brother, to be, wordly correct, because I just say my brother. I don't care about no half. But he's my half brother, and so given that we have different moms, when I was little and growing up, that's the only way I saw it was if y'all half sees you got different daddies. I mean, different moms. But that was when I found out that women swing around too.
Thank you for sharing.
Wait, there's more.
Wait.
On my daddy's side, I found out that Big Daddy got around too. Wait, hold up. Papa got around too. So my mom has more half siblings here, and later, few years ago from now is when I found out that Big Daddy was a swinger too. So, but my dad don't know them half C's. So now I gotta be like, who your daddy? Who your grandpa?
Who your people is?
Yeah, exactly. That who your people is.
Right, who your people is. Yeah, so that was all. That was all the juicy bits.
And you all going into the men's show talking about Pawpaw and Grandpa. We're supposed to be talking about Grandma. But I want to see that brick house or the brick house. Hey, she's pretty. But I try to
this discussion.
What have I ever done to anybody in my life to deserve this? I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me, fucking grabbed a rock, and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face? Man, fuck all y'all.
Oh, that's the full story. Because all I saw on IG was, her in the hospital with that swollen side of her face. And she talking all victim-wise. I'm a victim. But you put your hands on somebody and expect to be saved? No.
I don't think
it don't work that way. You cannot put your hands on a man and have all these witnesses and then expect to be saved when somebody does the same thing to you, but worse, because they had an actual brick. I'm so done.
You can make your own choices, but you cannot pick the consequences or the reactions.
So those are skits, guys. She do skits. Those are skits on Instagram. So she didn't actually go smack somebody. What happened is that she is a Somalian woman from Africa. And the man who hit her is African too. And my husband is from Nigeria. I'm going to tell you why I say this right now. My husband is from Nigeria. So I have encountered African men for the past 16 years because we're about to be 16 years married. African men do not play. You cannot disrespect them in public and get away with it. And they have a tight-knit community. That's why those guys were sitting back watching, because they know this young woman is a troublemaker. When I first seen the video, I went to my husband. He told me what she was. I said, oh, so He said, yeah, she's not African-American. That's why she said all those black men, because she know how y'all warring over here between y'all men. So I said, so you think it's going to come out? He said, no, it's not going to come out. It's going to be maybe a day or two. They'll find out that she is Somalian. So, and she's Muslim. So they do not play with their women, and she knows that. So I don't even know why she would even try that. Maybe because she on IG and, a lot of people follow her. Yeah. But once the man had hit her, probably the brothers around saw what happened and they got him away from the area before she got on her phone. But that's the truth. So it was a big nonsense, but she brought our community into it. She brought African-American community into it because, we at war. We at war with our brothers. None of our women, we don't want to respect. They don't want to respect. We all just at war with each other. So this is why I say on my channel, we got to weed out imposters. You know what I'm saying? Imposters. And it's not just because she's from Africa. That is not it. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about ones who want to do nonsense to us, because you have a lot of African brothers and sisters who want to help us, who want to see growth come to us and our mind too, because they always tell us, come back home, see what home look like. You know what I'm saying? But when you have some that are imposters that want to destroy from within, We got to get rid of them. Cause homegirl need help. Let me not even. She needs some help. That's all. She needs some help. I'm gonna be respectful because I'm on somebody else's channel. She needs some help. Yeah, she needs some help.
I'm very glad that you broke it down to us. You know what I'm saying? Like I do appreciate that.
Yes, appreciate that. Miss Anissa,
But with that,
any of this? Did you hear about any of this? Was this your first time seeing this video?
Actually, this was my first time seeing the video this evening. I had been hearing about it, but that was the first time that I saw it. So, Take Heed, are you saying the entire thing was a skit, or?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
this
so it's not a
actually,
skit. Okay.
yeah, this actually happened because she was taunting the man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our brothers here in America, and I gotta give it to them for this. Just for this incident, I gotta give it to our brothers because they have encountered women, our women, ready to go all out war on them, but they will walk out the house because their mama told them, I don't want you to go to jail. Get out of Dodge, right? But African men are not like that. They are not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I love my husband wholeheartedly, okay, with everything in me. But African men are not like that. They do not take disgrace easily. It is not. It's not in their culture. They don't take disgrace easily. And my husband, even when I first met my husband said, never disgrace me in public. Never. And which my husband never done anything to me. He always been a good husband and a good provider. But they have this about their pride. You can't disgrace them in public. And she knows that. She knows that. It's not like she an American, she didn't know. She knows that.
But
so she
was the slap that she did, was that a skit?
Yes. The slap she did to the Caucasian men.
Okay.
See, that's a skit. That's what she do. She's trying to go viral. But we helped her. We helped her go viral.
See, that's the thing. I be some of these skits and these pranks I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people be like, oh, it's just a skit. It doesn't mean anything. It means something because there are people out there really doing it. There are women out here really putting their hands on men, both known and unknown. And so when you try to make a skit out of it, you're trying to normalize it. It's not anything that should be normalized. It's stuff that needs to be stopped.
But also it's different for us as brown women doing that type of stuff.
So can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I apologize for the first 15 minutes. I could see you all, and then I couldn't see you, and then I couldn't hear you. So I'm here now. But I just wanted to make sure that I was good. Listen, I don't want to interrupt anybody. So whoever was talking, go ahead, and I'll make my statement after they're done.
No, I'm just like, you know, the skits and the pranks that aren't funny, like you walking up to somebody and what you want, and this when they come at you with ready to fight, you be like, you don't want these chips? That's not a prank to me. Going to somebody and poking them until they ready to swing on you, or they actually do, because I've seen some where they got clocked, okay? And I see one where they went to the trunk, okay? They popped the trunk on them. And then it's like, it's just a prank, there's camera. Don't nobody care about that mess.
Right.
You would get somebody who's still pissed, even though you said there's a camera and it was a prank. Stop messing with people.
Yeah.
Stop messing with people.
The only thing that I wanted to add was, I don't know where all of this came from and how all of this got started, but it is disrespectful and emasculating to men to do certain things like that at home, in public. You know, I don't care. I just think it's just totally out of line. So women that are doing this or believe in this, it just needs to stop. You know, we're ladies. You should conduct yourself accordingly. there's no reason for you to haul off and, and slap somebody or hit somebody because, as Alexa said, you cannot always choose the consequences. And some men have a very different viewpoint of how they may respond to something like that. So keep your hands to yourself. This is the bottom line. Just keep your hands to yourself. You should not be swinging on a man.
Definitely.
And watch your words, because
Yeah.
words have power, and you reap what you sow.
Choose your battles, security boss.
Yeah, they tell me my mic is still kind of off, but I'm gonna say what I wanted to say really quick. My question is to Take Heed. Take Heed, you're saying that she was being very aggravating, I guess, to the young man that actually hit her with the rock. Did she touch him?
I'm not sure if she touched him. I'm not sure. They said that she hit him first, but I'm not sure. So I can't say.
Okay. Because I do want to say that hitting a young lady with a brick, that to me seems like it came from a place of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that was just more than, just some type of words. I hate that she had to get hit with a brick. Not saying that that's correct at all. We as women do need to know that there's power in our femininity, but that brick was real. And again, I haven't seen any real videos from that time. And I know a lot of people are saying, why didn't the men help her? If somebody just goes and picks up a brick and hits you, there's no way to help. It's done and it's over. You got to deal with it. So she's going to have to deal with it, even from pranking. If she thought that she could actually approach this particular man and slap him the same way, if that's what she actually did, I don't know. She's going to have to deal with that. And hopefully that's a learning lesson. But I'm going back to what Miss Anissa said. Anissa, our ladies are not acting as ladies. They're not. They are biting police officers, fighting police officers. I can imagine just the regular average guy is having so many issues with just, ma'am, sit in the car, or ma'am, stop. So it's much deeper than that. I mean, they almost now have to, I'm talking about a regular young man would have to almost run away to actually avoid that type of confrontation, because they are being very, very aggressive. In the Walmart, they laying all over the ground, they fighting, they kicking, they screaming, yelling, and just totally out of control. I don't know what this young woman did. I mean, to get a brick to the face to go viral, that's a lot, but then it could be worth it for her, because I hear now she has a GoFundMe, and like you said, if she threw the black men under the bus just to make a point, because I also heard she was a lesbian feminist. So that means she's not looking for a man to do much for her anyway. So, I mean, it seems like maybe we all have gotten pranked and kind of fell for it, but it may be all a part of her original plan. And again, if indeed this is something that truly happened and was for real, then that young man will probably have to pay for it. Somebody's going to go after him and figure out who he is, and it's not going to be good. So I'm hoping if this is something that is real, it was some form of retaliation, or like him preventing, or, her assaulting him, and he's like protecting himself in order, is the reason why he threw the brick at her. Otherwise, it may be a lot of trouble coming after this, because this is not a regular, he could have hit her with his hand. He didn't have to be a brick. So I don't know the situation, but I hope that she caused him inflicted some kind of pain on him that made him hit her with the brick, instead of, it's just that this is just the way he decided to, hit her.
SB, you know what? I'm just wondering if he really hit her with a brick, because can you imagine how much force a brick have to the face?
If he threw it at her, she maybe just, didn't bob and weave the correct way. I don't know exactly what happened. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, this is true. But it sound like he just hit her. That's what it sounded like to me. But I'm still not condoning what he did. What he did was wrong. You shouldn't hit a woman at all. Even if she's getting irate, you should walk away. But when you're being berated in front of other men that know you, and I'm going to share something with you, I don't think they'll find the guy. The community is so tight-knit, I don't think they'll find the guy.
She's a part of the community, isn't she? I mean, how was she
is a part of the community, but remember, they Somalian. You know what I'm saying? So now the community will turn on her if she turns this guy in. She don't have nobody. You could tell for the nonsense that she do on IG. Look at that foolery. How all she do is talk bad about men. That she don't need a man. Women have been surviving on their own for years. I was like, where did they do that at? Where did they do that at? Because if men did not structure this earth, we wouldn't have nothing to live in. I don't understand. So
I mean, it may come from lesbian world. I don't know.
Listen, she does nonsense. I'm sorry.
Did y'all see that one video where she was like talking to the group of men and saying, he asked me for my phone number and I just simply said no and I got hit with a brick. Did anybody respond to her as in, no, that's not what happened? Or did anybody say anything to her as to, what was your part you played in it, or did they just ignore her?
They said, what did you, I heard one in the back say, what did you expect us to do? Or what did you want us to do? It was something like that.
But they never said she was lying.
Correct.
They never said she was lying. That's true.
Hey,
I don't
real
know.
quick, High Value Wives and T Wade, neither one of y'all have said anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm over here looking up the information because I saw it, but I didn't read the whole article. So I'm over here like looking up the information, trying to find out what really went down. Because the only thing I saw was her in the hospital room. I didn't see the other video. I only saw her.
I didn't see the other part here until here too.
So I'm like over here trying to find another story behind it or something, and I cannot find it.
Get your thoughts.
I gotta tell y'all the truth. I have six Instagrammers, right? We all in the chat, all in my DMs for the last 2 days. So I'm getting information from about her. Okay. And these are big Instagrammers. This is not like just me, my small channel. This is people that's like over 100, this and that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So they giving me info. They posting it on their page, sending it to me. I'm posting it on mine. So I'm getting my information from everywhere. So when one of the Instagrammers that I follow, I think he's about 1 million. And he told me, he said, she from us. And I said, what you mean from us? He said, you from Nigeria, right? Your name. I said, I'm not from Nigeria. My husband is. I said, but I kind of figured that my husband told me she's Somalian. And he said, right. He said, are you going to leak it? I was like, yeah, I'm going to leak it because she's tearing up our community and they thinking it's Black people.
Yeah. High Value that the guy was in a car and he threw the brick as he was driving off.
Yeah, he threw it. I figured that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She dodged the rock. I mean, she didn't dodge it, but yeah. I thought that. I mean, because can y'all imagine somebody hitting you with a brick? I mean, I bet that would have knocked her completely out.
But if she took a brick to the face for the gram, man, she crazy as hell.
Oh, I don't think she expected the brick.
In the video, she said that it was either the video of her outside at the club or whatever, or the video in the hospital. She said he had it up to her face. So
she did say that, yeah.
Oh yeah, she did say he asked her, what you want to do or something?
What you want to do?
Yeah, what you want to do? That's what.
So he threatened her with it, and then got in the car and drove off and threw it back at her, or something like that, maybe.
Okay, Ashley, we'd love to hear what you got to say.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we have enough information to adequately judge the situation. But based on what I saw, like, it's nighttime. It looked like she was in an alley. Like, my dad always held me accountable anytime if I was out and something happened to me, he would question me. Like, why are you out so late? What time was it? Who were you with? Why are you with these people? It didn't matter what happened to me. What mattered is what I did to place myself in that situation. And women nowadays would call that victim blaming, like you're blaming the victim, because no matter what time it is or what she has on, nobody should do something to you. And my dad, he didn't raise me like that. He raised me to, survive in the world, not having this expectation that the world should be fluffy and the world should roll out the red carpet for my daughter. If I want to protect her, then I have to teach her to not put herself in certain situations. And being out late at night in an alley with a bunch of guys around you, I mean, there's a possibility that something bad can happen. So we don't live in a society where you take accountability for that. You hold the world accountable for things happening to you versus holding yourself accountable. So if what Take Heed is saying is true about her Instagram and who she is, or what she's been putting out there, I don't really see why anybody cares. Like, nobody should care. I mean, not to sound harsh, but nobody should care about women like this. Women who are loud, who are combative, who are drama filled, who are troublemakers. I don't think people should care about their well-being. It's absolutely pointless, because even if everybody were to care about her in this situation, she's going to find herself in another situation. She is who she is, just like she probably cussed that guy out who asked for her number. She'll be cussing another guy out next week. It's about the problem. The root of the problem is her, and rescuing her from this situation, it doesn't change her. Therefore, she'll find herself in another situation, which makes it absolutely pointless. So for me, I don't find myself in those situations because I'm not hanging out outside a club, late at night with questionable men. And I'm certainly not getting smart and combative with men. And that's why I don't get hit in the face with bricks. That's why I don't get assaulted by men, because, I know my place among men. But like Security Boss was saying, women they're not ladies anymore. They're not feminine. Therefore, that's why they find themselves in situations like these.
I mean, the easiest thing you can do is be respectful. It takes little to no energy to be respectful. You actually go out your way and waste energy being disrespectful.
All right, Sister T,
So
did
how
you
do you think you're
read
supposed to
that
respond
article?
if the men are disrespectful?
Huh?
How are you supposed to respond when the men are disrespectful?
I'm talking about anybody. Respect in general is what
You
I'm
walk
talking
away.
about.
You walk away. You dismiss
And
yourself.
sometimes it's easier said than done, because sometimes it just don't happen like that.
No, you just choose. Yeah, you're right. Y'all choose not to do it. Not you particularly, but you could choose not to walk away. But you have an option. You have a choice to walk away, and that is your best choice.
And
if a man is being disrespectful to women, calling women out their names, whatever the situation may be, I don't know of any situation that you absolutely have to be in unless somebody kidnapped you or holding you hostage. Other than that, you absolutely can walk away.
Or on an airplane.
On an airplane. Ooh. That is so
I
scary to be
walk
on an airplane and people are fighting. I just can't imagine.
Right.
That is a fear of mine right now. My husband's like, let's go out. I'm like, I just have a fear. We'll be up there in the air. Somebody get to fight. What we gonna do? That is a real fear right now. Yeah. But just to go back, I'm sorry, T-Wait, I'm sorry, but you do have a choice. You do have a choice. We have a choice, and we need to actually opt to take that choice. Walk away, dismiss yourself. Who cares what they're saying? You don't care. It could be so disrespectful.
And I've done that before, and they still followed and everything else. And it is like I've walked away, or we've walked away. Like we grew up in the hood. So sometimes walking away is just not that easy.
Oh, no, I understand. Yeah.
You know what? That is something too, because at that point, that would be when typically, like traditionally, we would want other men to step in. Mm-hmm. Because you are walking away and you may be in some sort of danger. You would want somebody else to take note to the fact, hey, these ladies are trying to get away from this situation, but these men are continually following them. So that would be, and it's getting very confusing because they're telling us, men are telling us we all looking alike.
Well, see, that is the problem, right?
My uncles made us fight. Men, women, it didn't matter. That's how we grew up. They we were just talking about it. My uncle just passed away. We just buried him last week. We were
I'm
talking about
sorry.
how someone just jumped on someone had jumped on my cousin. He was the only boy in the cousin circle. And he drove all of us down the street to make sure we beat up whoever it was that had just jumped on him. And they we grew up like that, fighting boys and girls. That's how we grew up, and they always wanted us to be able to protect ourselves. Now, me growing up now, I'm by myself. I'm single, but I know how to protect myself at the same time, and I know my place as a woman in a relationship. But these men, they don't act like they need to be respected as a man. The way they act, some, not all, just some.
You know, that is going to be hard, because now you're saying that you have an expectation from a man, right, to respond a certain way. Yeah, you better be careful. You got to be careful, because it may not be what you think. You know, you expect him to respond as what you have in your mind a man should be, but we're in a totally different generation. Because I absolutely know what you mean about when we were younger, boys and girls did fight, but it was just a fight. You know, it could have been a raffle. That was this play, what you call it, play yard stuff. But now it's not play yard stuff. They throwing bricks, they shooting weapons, they doing all these different type of things. So we definitely have to adjust everything down to our attitudes and how do we respond to men and our expectations of them. You don't have any, especially of a man that you don't know. So you have to respond as though this could be bad. This is a stranger. I need to protect myself. And if you can't do that, you need to walk or run away. You walk or run away. And you could be all right. You could be in the right, not wrong about anything. But if you don't know, you need to walk or run away.
You know, this is one thing that's painful in our culture, that as when we were growing up, that we were taught that it's okay to fight boys. I grew up in the hood too. I grew up in 3 projects in New Jersey. So I know that when I was young, it was okay for us to fight boys. And I used to get down. But I'm going to share something with you. When I got older and those same young men that I used to fight got older, God blessed men with brute strength. Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? He blessed them with brute strength. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes.
Now, why I say this is because if a man really want to hurt a woman, if he really want to hurt you, he could take you down. You can be a skinny man, a short man, a small man, however kind of size man. If a man want to take a plus size woman down like me, he could do it. He could do it. No matter how much I try to fight, he could do it. And I'm gonna share with y'all this lesson that I was just taught like about 2 years ago, which I always knew men have brute strength anyway. But there was a situation at my hospital, right? And I worked in a security division. I worked security all my life. I worked for Port Authority. And I went and started working in Hamilton because we bought a house down here in Willingboro. So now there was a situation with a brother. Okay, this brother was 6'3", about maybe 300 and something pounds. And they called security to the floor. So there was me and a Caucasian cat that had to go inside the room. And this brother was this 6'3" brother was throwing us like we were candy. Do you hear me? And you know what happened? You know how I calmed him down? It wasn't me trying to be bad. It wasn't me trying to show that I could take him. It wasn't me doing that. You know what I did? When he backed up into me and he pushed his body into mine, and I said to him, "Look at your arm." He said, "What you mean, look at my arm?" I said, "I'm your sister. Look at your arm." He looked at his arm, and I was calm when I said it to him. He said, "You're not my sister." I said, "I am. We are the same color. You're going to hurt me if you don't calm down." He said, "Sis, I don't want to be here." I said, "But you're sick. You're not feeling well. This is why you're here." He said, "But I want to go home." I said, "You'll go home, but you got to be calm. You got to let the doctors help you. And what did I do, ladies? What did I do? I didn't use my ghetto tactics from when I was born, ready to go off on them and ready to do all out war like I could beat him. I couldn't beat that man. That man threw me like I was a rag doll, and I'm a big girl. Okay? What happened was I talked to him calmly, and that soothed the beast that was in him. Every man has a beast in them, no matter what color they are. And this beast comes out when he feels threatened. This beast comes out when his family is threatened. That's just like when an intruder tries to enter your house, okay? And the man, your husband, already know, he done put it in his mind, he taking everybody out of here that don't belong here. He's in beast mode now. You can't even touch him. You can't even touch him because he's already in that mindset. He's about to take everybody out of here. So I don't go for that we could beat men. We have to stop that. We have to stop that. That's a false narrative that we be preaching, because you see women be throwing men around on IG. That, first of all, that is not a man. That is a son husband. That's it, y'all.
Thank you.
Yep.
So appreciate it. Anybody else?
I wanted to point out about her. Well, SB, you had said something earlier about the expectation that we have as far as looking for that help from other men, and sometimes it's not available. And that was a moment for her. Like, she was looking around like, none of y'all are gonna do anything, none of y'all gonna help or anything like that. And a little information that I did get from some of the videos that I was watching about the culture, this, I don't want to mess it up with some, how you say it again, Samania, how do you say it?
Samonia.
Samonia. That is that group and that family vibe, to where it's like, were you really alone, or did they make a decision because maybe some antics that you had pulled, which there was a video of a guy talking about that she does stuff like this on a regular, and they were just at that point to where they were like, I'm not about to do anything because this is the type of stuff that you do on a regular, and now it just went a little too far, I guess. And when I watched that, when he was explaining that, it put me back into the mode of the me as a woman, and knowing the expectations that I have when I'm in certain circles and certain environments, when there are men there, especially when there's men there that I'm familiar with. I'm a Texas girl. My home is Texas, but I'm also have ties in Kansas City because that's where my dad is from. So I rep Kansas City as well. And I remember I had went back home some years ago, like 10, 11 years ago, and I went to go see my female cousins. And one of them I went to go see one day, and she had got these new suede red couches, and they were so beautiful. I was looking like, oh my goodness. And the next, it was like a couple of days later, because when I'm back home, I try to like take time to spend with all my different cousins. So I saw her that evening, then I went back a couple of days later just to have girl time with the rest of my other girl cousins, including her. I get over there and she's going off and just like pissed off and just going in. And I come in at me and my other girl cousins come in the house, and we just smell this strong bleach smell. I'm like, what in the world? Why is this? And so then we get closer in to where the living room is, and this guy she was messing with, they got into it, and he got mad, and he threw bleach on her brand new red suede couches. And she was going off, going in. So fast forward, we having our girl time, we talking, winding down after all that BS. I get to my boy cousin house, who I always, anytime I go back home, I always stay with him. Like, if I don't stay with him, I stay with his brother, but me and his two brothers were like this. So I'm always with them a lot of times. So I'm confused because I haven't been home in like a couple of years. So I'm talking to him, my older boy cousin. I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, y'all ain't go over there. Like, you know, like y'all ain't grow. That's what I was used to when I was there. But I've been gone for so long. So I'm like, I don't get it. And he's like, well, because you ain't been here in a long time and things have changed. Yeah, back in the day, we would have. He said if something like that would have happened to you coming home, yeah, we would have rolled up. He was like, but again, you ain't been here. And we gonna go roll up on that dude just for her to be back with him 3 days later. Nah, and he was like, nah, we cut that stuff out a couple of years ago because we ain't doing that type of stuff no more because we're seeing what's going on. Yeah. And so when he had said that, I kind of like had that moment of connecting what he was saying, like, yeah, like if you if you out here doing this type of stuff and thinking there probably is some men that would have normally protected you, but because of your antics, and I mean, this is just a moment where it could have just went out of the way and nobody expected that, but because you're known for this type of stuff, how are they supposed to pick and choose when to go and when not to go? So they just, hey, look, just like my boy cousins, hey, we ain't about to do that. We go beat up this guy, and then you go back out there, and then you slapping the guy again, like slapping another guy.
So, Alexis, it's even deeper than that because of the fact she does these pranks and she actually slaps men, right? So you would, if she was really had any kind of logical thought about what she was doing, she shouldn't have been even thinking that someone would come to her rescue.
Right.
But what we do or what we have done, and it's just the conditioning that women have gone through or the influences, is we tend to think that men are just robots. And they're just going to accept whatever type of behavior that we're going to give them. And because we are, quote, the weaker vessel, they're going to come to our rescue. So we kind of vasculate between what's right and what's wrong and try to put it all together to make it work for us. And men are now saying, no, if this is what you're going to be displaying, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. And she just forgot what side she was on at the time. Because you can't vasculate. You can't say, I'm going to slap a man, and then I'm gonna have another man come to my rescue, or even the same man come to my rescue, or I'm gonna cuss you out completely. I'm gonna put Clorox on your Jordans, but I'm not gonna expect you to put Clorox on my new velvet red sofa. So, they're supposed to be just robotic, non-emotional, just quiet. And, I hate to say it, but that kind of how it was, in years past. Men were a lot more quiet, and they just kind of went to work, provided, came home, didn't say too much. And, that's kind of how it was. So now women actually think that is just how men are, and I can do what I want. And men are saying, no, you're not doing what you want, not to me. But whatever it is, if you do it if you want to, you're going to have to accept the consequences that come with it. And that is exactly how she got the brick or rock or whatever it was against her face. But it's going to happen more and more and more because
in this society now that to believe all women, is that a thing?
Yeah.
We all just walk around and believe all women?
Things are getting so extreme, though. I mean, I guess it kind of used to be cute, but now it's just getting so extreme. I mean, you're going to bite somebody and you're not going to expect them to, pain is pain. Everybody responds to pain. So you bite somebody, quite naturally, they're going to hit back. So it's like, sometimes
you ain't even got to do anything. Let's talk about Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Come on. A whole court case, made a whole bunch of lies up about this man.
Right.
So,
that never should.
Still in this society, because soon as that video came out, everybody, all the women were on the rodeo to take her back. It was so many women.
But think about some of the stuff she did, though. Y'all remember some of those things she did, like in the bit?
Don't say it, but I was thinking
that out. You believe? No, see your research, right? If you don't do your research, everybody believes when they see something like that. Well, let's hear from one of the victims. You want to play this video? Moderator.
Who was there that did not help her when she was getting hit with the brick, right? I feel like people need to know the whole story before they start commenting and say things they don't understand or they don't know. You guys don't even remember who you guys are trying to defend, who you guys are trying to speak up for. This is the same woman that was going around smacking white people in the streets. She's not innocent. She was actually taunting the guy to hit her. Why would I go defend somebody that's actually looking for trouble? This woman, she is literally a troublemaker. Everybody that knows her in our community knows she's a troublemaker. I'm not going to risk my life over somebody that's actually out there looking for trouble. If you go on social media, online, you're going to see some of her antic videos, taunting people, looking for a reaction. Well, she got what she been looking for, and you guys are giving her the attention that she was actually seeking for. I don't regret not standing up for her. If you look at some of the videos, I was there. I don't regret nothing whatsoever. I don't regret standing up for her. I'm not saying she deserved it. I'm not saying that any men have a right to hit a woman, especially with a brick. Nobody deserves that. But at the end of the day, there's more to the story. She's not as innocent as she's trying to portray herself to be. She wants attention. She's an attention-seeker woman. She's trying to go viral, and you guys have given her what she wanted. Yes, she did get hit by a brick. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I was standing by doing nothing. And if that shit happened again in the same circumstances, I will watch. Because she's not as innocent as she portrays herself to be. She was taunting the guy. She was calling him all type of names. She was degrading him to a point where he resulted in picking up a brick and hitting him. I don't condone that type of behavior, but once again, she's not as innocent as she portrays herself to be.
If I just seen this man hit her in her face with a brick.
Well, what you guys think?
I mean, first of all, to what security boss said about the expectations, I don't expect nothing from nobody I don't know. I expect my people to have my back, of course, because I'm going to have their back. But if I don't know you, I don't expect nothing from you. And I've been in situations where I, had somebody acting crazy because, it's like a crazy homeless person. You know how they don't get their meds. So you got to deal with crazy on the street. And people came to my aid. But I didn't expect help. Help was given. So I've been blessed in that sense, but I've never gone in expecting something from strangers. And that's how people should move nowadays. And you'll probably move smarter that way. You won't be pushing people's buttons and expecting somebody to save you.
But you know what I want? This is what I would like. Mm-hmm. For all the women who say that they don't need men, okay? For all the women who say they don't need no man. I don't need a man for nothing, honey. That's what they say. I don't need no man. I want y'all, if something bad happened to you, baby, please don't call a man. Call your sister group that you always talk to. That's who you call. Don't call no man for help. That's what I would like to start happening. Okay? I have never said I don't need no man. I just want to make that clear first. Okay? But for the ones who say they don't need no man, y'all need to go get y'all little community y'all got going on. Y'all stay on that side. When the lights and the gas and the sewer, the water, all that stuff go off, don't call no man. Don't call no man. You better go get a team, okay? Go get some education on all that and get it done.
Monkey ball.
I'm gonna call a man. I'm gonna call a man. When the lights mess up, I'm calling an electrician, okay? If the water start acting up, I'm calling somebody who know how to do the pipes. It's gonna be a man, okay? They get on my nerves.
Okay, y'all, we got to be honest. This is really going to be tough because I hate to say it, due to the fact I'm from the South, and in all my conditioning, I do expect a man to come to my rescue. Absolutely, I do. One, I'm not going to be fighting with no man, so I'm not talking about like that. But if I'm outside exercising or doing something and somebody is obviously getting the best of me for whatever reason, I need a white man, black man, some man or somebody that can handle that situation better than me to stop their car and come to my I absolutely expect that, want that, and would love to keep that a little bit in place. So we're gonna have this is gonna be difficult. I also expect a man, to help me with the water. You go to the you expect I do. It's just me. So I'm gonna have to just be with Mr. Boss all the time, I guess. But I do expect a man to show up in my life like that because I respect them. I'm kind to them. I smile at them. I do exactly what I should do as a woman. So I don't want to not have the expectation, but like I said to you, T Wade, I understand that we can't because there are some men that are just they don't know because they're telling us, well, y'all all looking alike right now, and I don't want to get into this situation or whatever. So it's to me, it's getting very scary. I don't know how y'all see it, but I'm just being honest. But I do want to ask another question because I don't want to confuse something. Was this video or this young lady, was she also speaking and advising women to have weapons, or am I mixing this up with somebody? Did y'all see a video like that at the end that she may have started talking about weapons and things of that nature?
That might be a different young lady.
I saw some.
They all look alike.
I saw somebody saying, I know how to take care of this situation. One of those type. I know how to, like that. I could be wrong. But anyway, yeah, I do. I'm gonna have to work on it. I'm older, so I do have that, and it's gonna be hard for me.
What you said and how you carry yourself, right? You're always high and smiling and pleasant and stuff like that. You're the type that people want to protect. When I go around and stuff like that, I'm like, hi, oh, I like your shirt or whatever. I compliment people. I'm smiling and stuff like that. So while I don't expect anything, I'm not surprised when I get help.
Right.
I'm not surprised when people have my back.
You just don't want it to go away, though. You don't want that part.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
But it's heading there. It's heading there. I'm sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
No, I think it is heading there. I'm sorry, too.
Somebody else was talking. I'm sorry.
Alexis.
Yeah, I just wanted, that's what I was conveying earlier when I was talking about, like, when I was with my cousins. And almost similar to what you said, SB, as far as I don't think there's a problem with you expecting that, just like I kind of expected, because that's the way we were brought up. You had your father in the home. I had my father in the home. To this day, I still have my father in my life. So I expect that because that's what I grew up with. And so I don't feel like that's far-fetched for people like me that's expecting that, because that's what we grew up with. Not expecting that is, almost like you said, SB, to where you got to think, like we have to think, like, hold on, stop, wait. Because we're so used to it being this way. And then to touch on what Beautiful Animated was alluding to as far as speaking and stuff like that. But I mean, that's and also what Take Heed said when you were talking to the guy and you were speaking to him softly, that's the power of femininity.
Amen.
That's the power of femininity. I'll be honest, that's when I said it, I go out in certain circles and I'm around people that I'm familiar with or people that I know well. If something happens, I do expect that help. And a lot of times, not a lot of times, a few times I've been in places where there's been something going on and it's been somebody I haven't known, a male, that puts that help out there. And it's also because when I'm one of those people, when I come into a room, I'm smiling, hi, doing all that good stuff and putting that feminine energy out there to people, because I have a certain type of expectation of a female and or an actual woman. I remember when I used to work at my old job that I was at for years, and I worked at a call center, and a call center, there is males there, but it's heavily female in a call center. And it was younger girls that would be like, it would say stuff like, Alexis, why you always dresses so nice and all that stuff. Like, I love dresses and heels and stuff like that. And my daughter is like that. So it's something that I pass down. And I tell people, I be like, they're like, why are you dressing? You got something going on? I'm a woman. I need no excuse to look good.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Yep.
I came in here looking good today. Grace your eyes. You're welcome. Okay. I'll take the balloons and the flowers at the end of the week if you like. But yeah, so just to point out to that femininity, and if she was, because she was already in the attic smacking men and doing all that type of stuff, they didn't view her as a feminine woman. Even though she had on that little
hippie outfit.
Yeah, she was twerking and all that stuff. Didn't nobody take that. That's what happens.
I mean, the thing is, for men to be protectors and stuff like that and live in their masculinity, they do have to move smart. How are they gonna protect somebody who can get them killed and she's not worth it? Like they said, like white man always says, I still got to come back to my family. I'm sorry, she's not worth taking a bullet for. Not that one. Sorry.
I would tell y'all something. I would not want my husband to fight for no other woman. I'm sorry. I would not. This is the truth. I know that this sounds bad for me to say as a woman, but I would not want my husband to do that. I would not, because let me share something with you. Anything can, God bless you. Anything can go left. You feel me? Anything can go left. This person that she's engaging in a war with, he can have peace be still on him, and this can go left. And now I have to go and send my husband off to glory, all because you got in some situation with some men. Child, I'm gonna whoop your. I'm gonna whoop your. You won't get away with that nonsense. I will take my scarf off, jewelry, dress. I will beat you. I don't support violence. I'm sorry. I don't support
Get the bastard. Oh, how about you guys? What's your take? We talking
on what exactly?
On as far as the expectation that women have of men being protectors, and how do you feel? You talked about your dad in your life.
I think that our foremothers, the Black women out there, Black women that came before us, I think that they messed it up for us. So we just can't have that expectation anymore. And what I see is Black women refusing to separate themselves. Anytime you have a situation like this with the girl who got hit by the brick, even your decent Black women will speak up on behalf of her. And that's why I'm not sure who said it. Somebody said we all look the same. If we don't separate ourselves and bring back that shame, we're all going to look the same. And we're going to appear the same to everybody. So to expect that men should protect women in public, well, I don't think that that's going to happen until all the decent, high and quality women start to separate ourselves and start to judge, so to speak. I know we've been shamed from judging, but I think we need to bring that so at least men can say there are decent women out there and they stand up and they speak against that nonsense. But if nobody speaks up against it and we all continue to blend in, I mean, you can expect that a man should jump in and save you. But I think that you're going to be let down by that expectation, you know?
I think what I said was exactly what you said, but it's not us saying that we look alike. It's that they're saying that we all look too much alike. But guess what? I'm calling out the behavior.
Yeah.
I'm calling it out every day. You can say whatever you want to me. I really don't care. I'll go.
And I think there's a lot more work to be done because I think we're like a small percentage of
very small
the women out there. And it's so hard for me. The only time I find women like us is on the internet, is on panels like this. But when you go into other comment sections, when you're at the grocery store, at work, I mean, women are, they're still taken up for other women. So I think that they're literally, and I've said this many times before, there has to be a movement of women, just like how there's a movement of men right now, the manosphere, red pill. Where's that at for women? Where's that at for Black women? Where's our movement where we take a mass exodus away from the nonsense, where we start speaking up against it, where we start exposing, all the foolishness, and we have our own name. I don't know what you call it, the woman sphere, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
There has some type of movement, just like there was the civil rights movement. Anytime that there has been an interruption in a pattern, that movement had a name. So for women who have, because we are in an era where women have lost their minds. Where's the movement of women who are basically going to spearhead this exodus away from women who are on foolishness? I think it's going to take something drastic like that. And if that doesn't happen, then I think we're going to look at 5 years from now, and either we're going to be the same or we're going to be worse off.
It's not enough women that totally agree. They're not sold out for the righteousness. They're again, they vasculate also, meaning they may have had one or two bad experiences in their life too. So that's what they remember. They haven't gone and got that help. They haven't seek that therapy. So when you say something about a man, it's all men. So if they have an experience and they live through other women's trauma and everything they can recall is trauma, or their fathers wasn't in their life, or they have problems seeing things for what they really are. That's that logic and the emotional. So that's why you can't get this movement going. And shame in itself is something that a person feels for themselves when they have let themselves down. That's a relationship with God. That's you saying, okay, I messed up and I'm feeling shame for it. I can't shame you. I can only say what you did. It's up to you to have the remorse or your conscience be bruised or whatever. It's in you. I can't shame you. I can just call out the deed that you did. So there's so many things that can go on. People don't feel any shame for it. So
that's why women need to be helped to see the bigger picture. I mean, what I would recommend, and I'm not doing it, but if any of y'all want to do it, feel free. What I would recommend is a documentary. Women have to be helped to see the bigger picture. Because like you said, they got hurt by a man or they lived through other women's traumas. I would recommend somebody go, I don't care who, just create a documentary exposing where women were and how we got into this situation as women and what we would need to do to get out of it. And literally push that documentary. I don't care if you have to pay for ads. I mean, Matt Walsh did it with What is a Woman, basically exposing the transgender agenda. Candace Owens did it with, what was that documentary called?
The one on
George Floyd. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I go to watch a YouTube video and I'm seeing those ads. So, where's the documentary for women, particularly Black women? Let's be honest. We're the most aggressive. We're the most combative out of all races of women. We need special help. We have a unique set of issues that have stemmed from slavery. Where is our documentary? Where's our group? What's the name of our group? Black men did their own thing. They got a Black Manosphere convention coming up. I think it's in Atlanta. Where's that for Black women? I mean, if y'all really want to see a change, you have to do something.
It's not enough.
Can I say something real quick? Just like SB just said, right? It's not enough of us. It's not. Only this part of YouTube, you'll see Mrs. She Said, you'll see SB, you'll see Crimson Cure, you'll see Beautifully Animated, you'll see Take Heed. It's not a lot of us, and I'm gonna share with you why I say this. Is because when say the person who hosting the show, right? They've been hurt, they've been dogged by somebody who was not right. The man was not right for them. Okay, they breed other women in with that pain. Everybody know that. And we jump on the same bandwagon. When something go wrong with one of our sisters, no matter what, and then in your heart, the story she's saying is not right. It don't add up. But because we all in that fake sisterhood, we all rally behind her. It's not enough of us who are woke yet. And then you got some women that are married and they're in their household, they're minding their business, taking care of their children. And these are the ones we need to come out and come fight with us. You know what I'm saying? To help us to take back the Black woman. But because the Black woman has been taken over by the baby mamas, the hood rat chicks, okay? She has been taken over by the thoughts. We all look the same, so nobody wants to follow. If you go to YouTube right now, right? All the women who preach foolery and all the women who preach nonsense about men, they're bigger than SB. They're bigger than Mrs. She Said. They're bigger than me. They're bigger than Crimson Cure. Okay? These women that preach nonsense about men, all types of hatery about men, they are bigger. Why? Because the women all flock to that. They don't flock to only how they'll flock to me, SB, Mrs. She Said, is because they woke up.
And
they
that's
no longer sipping that Kool-Aid. They woke up.
I would recommend the documentary because, like you said, a lot of women just aren't woke yet, just like a lot of men weren't woke until Kevin Samuels came along. And when he started making a lot of sense, that's what woke a lot of men up. You know, I mean, women, just like you're saying that women have women in a chokehold with the sisterhood, women had men in the same chokehold. And that's why, you know, it was shameful for a man to disrespect a woman in public. Even to just ask how much she weighs. Like, women got this insurmountable amount of respect because of women having basically mind control using their words. So when Kevin Samuels went viral, that's when men really started to wake up. So women aren't woke, I think partly because, you know, I don't think we've had a collective of women to rise up, come together, and think of a plan of how we can wake women up. You have women who have individual YouTube channels. I feel like we're all kind of isolated. We'll come together on a panel every now and again. But, you know, I think, you know, y'all need to get around a round table, you know, in a conference room and figure out how are we going to help to save. I would recommend starting with Black women first, you know, and I think it'll, you know, the ripple effect will touch other women, but there needs to be a plan in place. And I think you need to have the men involved too. I think women, I think we've drove the ship enough, you know, we're shipwrecked. And I think, you know, if you get the men involved, if you get real men involved and get their take on what we can do as women to fight this war, to wake women up, and to change the trajectory of what's going on and stick with that plan. I mean, I think that's the only way you're going to see anything, because if you eliminate that, then we just got a bunch of women online with YouTube channels.
And Nissa, you haven't said anything. You've been over there with the face, and what is your face saying right now? Because your face had a lot of response to what
My face says it all sometimes. Well, I want to go back to something that SB said. I have an expectation as well. Brought up in the South, in Florida, and it's just a way of being, a way of life. But I have an expectation for men to come to my aid if I need it. Or if something were to happen to me, or if I'm in a space, which I'm usually not in places I shouldn't be or around people I shouldn't be around. But, you know, if I'm, you know, out at the store or something like that, and someone comes up to me and a man is inappropriate, I would hope that there would be a man that would at least, you know, stop and say, hey, young man, you know, keep it moving, you know. But that's because you carry yourself in your femininity. That's because you're acting like a lady. You're not acting like that that woman with the brick incident. I think energy needs to be taken away from people like that. She's on IG. She's done this repeatedly from what you guys are saying. And that energy, that effort, the likes or whatever it is that she's giving, those are the things that need to be taken away, because obviously she's enjoying the attention. negative or positive attention, she's enjoying it. So that needs to be starved to kind of break down and take power away from this behavior that we're seeing in women. I absolutely agree with the young man and his response. He felt that he had no responsibility because of her behavior, because this is something that she does. I think that he was absolutely right. If you want to carry yourself that way, if you don't want to be a feminine woman, if you want to be combative, if you want to feel like you can get in the face of a man and slap him and do all of these crazy things, I do not think you have the right to have any expectation of a man to come to your aid for that. You're going to get the consequences that you actually deserve. So we have to start starving these women. You have to start starving the attention that they're getting. You have to start starving the likes.
That's not going to happen because salacious behavior is entertaining and people will always want to see it. But I do want to add this just to get you all's take on it, because what I see is going back to what High Value said already. It's almost impossible for some women to see what we see. Because what I deal with a lot is that women have no idea that they can actually make choices. Every time I try to talk to a woman about choices that they've made or decisions that they made, they constantly blame someone else. It's like a normal response. Like I said to a woman one day, and this is a grown woman, don't get me wrong, this is a 50-year-old woman. And we were talking about divorce. And I simply tried to let her understand make her understand that you have a decision in a divorce. You don't have to get a divorce. Yes, I do. No, you don't. She just couldn't grasp the idea that she controlled her life in that way. They absolutely think that someone else is controlling them in some way, like a puppet. So, if a man wants to have sex with me, I have to have sex with him. I can't choose not to. I can't choose to preserve myself. I have to have sex with him. That's how they think, because they don't ever want to take any accountability for everything. Their first answer is, well, what about the man? No. I want to deal with just you. And let me just say this. As a woman, I only speak to women. So you could talk my head off all day about what the man do, his lack of responsibility, his lack of accountability. I don't really care, because I can't tell a man what to do, and neither can you as a woman. But we can definitely control and make choices and decisions of our own, but we don't get that. It's like it just flies over our heads. It's like, we're supposed to do this. No, you don't. And so to end this is, they don't see what we see. And I'm just going to tell you the honest to God truth. They don't see it because they don't have a relationship with Christ. If I didn't, I wouldn't see it either. And that's actually the bottom line. Now, you're going to give them that, they're not going to be receiving of it, because most of them are too immature mentally to actually have that type of relationship. And that's our problem, in my opinion.
We're the minority of the minority, right?
In a minute, hold on. I just want to real quick jump in and say that I need everybody to be like in vogue right now and hold on, because my best friend J Mac is in the building.
Hello. Hey, J Max.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm so sorry that I'm late. It looks like you ladies have been holding it down, but I just want to say hey to everyone on the panel and hey to everyone in the chat. And so far, just having come in, I'm already enjoying the conversation. Before I forget, since I'm already talking, I did have something I wanted to add to what SBU Live was just saying. I think that we ultimately do have to remember that this behavior we're seeing from modern women today does come from a lack of connection to the source of course being Christ. And I do think that in knowing that, though, I do think that there are some even worldly propensities that people can have, that God gives us all common sense, right? He gives us all just a little bit of it, at first.
Sorry, I don't believe
a
that.
little bit. So you don't have enough common sense to know to not purposely trip and fall down a flight of stairs. Someone had to teach you that.
Somebody has to teach.
You said the smallest level of common
Christ
sense,
is not walking around teaching the children how to behave. It is the people in the home. Some children do not grow up in the house with Christ. And many of us are walking around in this society did not grow up in the word of Christ.
Did
So
not, but your creator did put it innately in you right from wrong.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. We do that. That's the word.
That's what I think.
That's the word that we innately know at a very basic level right from wrong. Now, of course, it builds up. As we go through life, things get a little gray area, and that's where the proper rearing and stuff comes from. But I think that if, as a woman, if you've seen the state of most women today, I don't understand how you can't, at least from an observant standpoint, say, okay, well, we're at nearly 80%, like 76% single parent households in the Black community now. And we're seeing the crime rates go up, and we're seeing the retention rates go up in high school kids that are dropping out or they're failing. We're seeing all these things in our community. I just would say, to me, it seems like it would be a no-brainer, but maybe I'm just a privileged person, somebody who does know Christ. Maybe I'm just privileged in that way to where my eyes are open to some things. But I think even a worldly person could see the ramifications of some of these actions.
No, if children
common sense is
stop, no, don't do that when they're little. That's bad. That's not nice. This is not good. You're supposed to say please and thank you. They're not gonna know. Some children are just bad because they live in a house where they're not being taught anything. There's no structure. There's no organization, no love, no nurture, no Christ.
But you can see cause and effect. But you can see cause and effect in any, like, that's just a human thing, right? Like I mentioned, I know it was kind of silly, but I'm serious. Like, as a child, no one really necessarily has to tell or teach you.
I agree with you, but there are not that many roses growing through concrete. I am a part of that. Grew up in the hood, dysfunctional, drugs, all of that. And I came through 25 years with my husband, beautiful family, no drugs, no jail.
Right.
But everybody can't do that. I wish it was like that, but this is why we are here now, because the mothers have been failing. The last few generations screwing up. Christ is not the leader of the home, and neither are men. This is why we are here.
So I agree with her, but that's what I was talking about, choices. That's what I'm talking about, choices right there. Because guess what? No matter how much we deny, she is exactly right about the right and wrong, because you can go to a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old and they know, you can do a test and they know when you tell them don't do something, they will sneak and watch you looking at them while they're still doing what you told them not to do. Now, they do
too.
They grow out of it. No, I understand. They do grow out of that. If that is not something that is nurtured, they do grow out of that. And then they do take on whatever is going on in the environment. But I dare to say that people still understand, or not, I'm gonna say understand. People still make those choices because there's always an alternative. There's always an alternative. Now, do they choose it? No, because we always have examples. Because we're quick to say the system did it, but you already know that the white man ain't doing it. So that means you know and can recognize that everybody's not doing it your way. So that means you know that there's something else that's going on. But we choose what we want to do, what feels good. And that is because of the lack of relationship with your creator. That part is how it goes. You choose it because you don't have the relationship. So both of y'all are right. Both of y'all are right. But what is the answer? Both of y'all are right. You do, it's innately in you, but we grow away from it because we're born into sin. It says it clearly. But still, you still make a choice. You make a choice, all day, every day. They bring the drugs into the neighborhood. They bring the weapons into the neighborhood. Just like you said, she said, you don't have to choose to get high. You don't have to choose to pick the weapon off of the truck. You don't have to, but they're there for you just in case you want them. I don't have to follow anybody. I can actually lead them.
I have to.
I mean,
we don't have to open our legs, but we do.
Exactly.
But I've taken in a lot of kids though that honestly didn't know that they had a different option, or that there's a whole nother world out there different from what they're in. I have one of my goddaughters who was in a home with her grandmother because her mom was in jail. Her mom had a child in jail. She had to start raising her sister. And so if it wasn't for me, my sister, and our community, if we didn't come together to show them that there was a different way of life, she probably would have ended up right in the same situation that her mom is in. And then we have you can't save them all, but if some people just kind of took the initiative to go in to see what's causing the child to be a troubled child in school, some of the teachers, but some of them are just there for a paycheck and they just write them off and they don't try to see what the issue is and why are they acting
That's
out
the
the way they're
parents'
acting
job.
out.
That's
Okay.
the parents' job.
I was just about to say
I'm
I'm an educator as well, and I have to give just a little bit of pushback in saying that what I've noticed is 100% what you're saying, that when there are those teachers that really take on that extra shift and they'll be the ones that's calling and poking and prodding and figuring out what's that home situation, and they might be calling certain organizations, and they may be, but I don't think that's their job. God
not.
bless them if they do it. God bless
Yeah.
them if they do it. But as an educator myself, at the end of the day, they add more and more every year. They fancify the language. Oh, it's equity training. Oh, it's sensitivity training. At the end of the day, you're asking me to be this child's parent. You're asking me to teach
Absolutely.
this child certain things that we both know they can only get from home. Because T Wade, even if you and I teach them certain things while they're with us, if it's not reinforced when they go back home, they just relearn that bad behavior all over again, and it's not gonna stick.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
Right.
I'm not saying that every teacher needs to do that, but I have seen my sister's been in the school system for, oh my God, 20, 30 years. I don't know how long, but I have seen how some teachers will just write the child off and won't even try to help them with their schoolwork, and they judge them and they treat them a certain kind of way. And it might not be happening at your school, but my
Right.
sister's always been at these schools that are made up of majority project kids and things like that, and the teachers just automatically stereotype them. And
But wait, I'm not stereotype them as what?
as being they're going to be thugs and
Well, they
they
are.
call,
They are.
they'll
This
call
is
them
what we're
thugs.
talking about right here. This is what we're talking about right here. They are. They
Yeah,
are. They're very
if they
dysfunctional.
are,
They're going to be.
they
See, this
are.
is what I'm talking about. You're not trying to. That somebody somewhere needs to take accountability for what those
They
children
own
are
babies.
experiencing. What they do. I don't really care who, because they are going to be thugs. They are going to go to prison if
Well,
their
who's
behavior
gonna,
doesn't change. It
well,
will.
who's
That's
going to be
so.
got to
But
take
that's the
accountability
problem. You see how
if
you
their
just.
parents are in jail or they're in the foster system and the foster parents are abusing them as well.
No, I'm not saying that situation is wrong, but sit them down and saying you're wrong. You're not supposed to do this. This is wrong behavior. This is dysfunctional. Don't cover it up and say, you know what? Those people are judging you. Those people got to live with those people. We have to live around dysfunction. We have to live around thugs. I'm not interested. You know, I don't want a young lady to have 5 babies. Tell her she's wrong or she's not making good decisions at baby number 1. Can you tell her that? Or can you
I
say
agree.
due to the fact that the way you was raised, it's okay.
No,
Go ahead and have number
maybe
2. And then
I'm
number 2,
not
you know,
saying that. No, I'm
I
not
think
saying
a
like
lot of
I'm
sugarcoat
not
it.
I
saying
told
you. I'm not
myself,
saying you, T Wade.
But I
I'm
thought
not
you
trying
were
to.
saying like people in
you know.
they try to sugarcoat it. No.
That's why or making it okay. We're making it okay. Listen, the situation is terrible. It's dire. I understand. And I don't want any child to grow up in there. But kids know when they're wrong. Even if they're going to school and they see other kids that are not behaving the same way, it makes you question yourself and you be like, hey, look, how come she's not acting like that? It does. I
And
get that.
you get to see the repercussions for that. You get to see if you, so to your earlier point, SBU Live, and when you were rebutting what T Wade said, I know that it hits your ear wrong. You think like you said, oh, the teachers will stereotype the kids, but it's kids. It's these 16, 17-year-old kids that are committing a lot of crimes. They're the ones doing the smash and grabs. They're the ones killing people. So we cannot, once again, hit your ear wrong, but we cannot act like that's not a thing. So if you're coming to so I've taught at mostly inner city schools the entirety of my career. So I've taught at these exact schools that we're talking about. The one school I just left, I won't name the school. We had our track team. Our track team was really good. That was the only really good athletic program the school had. And our track team was allowed to basically run the school. Like, they could come to class whenever they felt like it. I was expected to give them passes all the time. Oh, hey, you know, our track meet ran late last night, or they don't even need to come to class today. They're just going to hoard in the coach's room today. We have a meet later. We have to eat our oranges and have our little pep talk. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, this is several days out of the week that we're doing this. I'm not sure if the kids are getting what they need, but it was reinforced by the adults, this coddling, this hand holding. And so a lot of
were
those
you
kids
supposed to grade them according to that, or were you? Did you have to give?
They never directly said it, but they definitely implied that they wanted me to pull strings, be lenient. You know,
So
sometimes I would have
your
kids.
integrity.
Do what now?
Did you lean on your integrity? Were you passing these children who were not in the classes?
No, I was not at all. And that's why I am not, that's why these people don't be a huge fan of me at the schools. I'm definitely not the teacher to do that, because I've seen kids in the exact same type of situation that T Wade's talking about. I've seen kids that there are wards of the state that literally have drugged out parents or parents in prison or whatever they might have, and they still take advantage of the fact that they have free transportation to school, two free meals a day from the school. And at the district that I worked at, when COVID happened, they gave every single child a free laptop and Wi-Fi. And I couldn't even get kids to log in for an hour. The entirety of the day, they only had to be on for an hour.
They don't care.
Exactly. That's just, they don't care. Like, why can't we just say they don't care? They don't want to do the right thing.
Care. We want to hold children accountable, but it's the parents. It's the goddamn parents.
Yeah.
Worrying about the children, like they're children. They don't want to listen. They don't want to learn. They don't want to be there with teachers who don't like them, who's labeling them, bullies, fucked up school, horrible uniforms. It's a lot. And we know it because we all went through it. It's just a different time. Same shit. It ain't like it's different. I'm only 46. I've been having my children go to school for 28 years. It's like nothing has changed. Madison's 9. She's homeschooled now. The pandemic set me straight. Like, you know, forget it. I'll stay home. Fuck a career. Pardon my cussing. I'm sorry. I don't want to strike you. Thank you. Shame. Stop it. You know, and those decisions are hard to make, but the protection of her was most important. And I think that they're not our priority anymore. It's my career. It's my boyfriend. It's my new hair, my nails. And when can I hang out? They don't care about PTA. They don't care about checking homework. They don't care of going into the school and manning the school when they know that there's bullying going on, when their children are being introverts and pulling back because of the technology that we're allowing them to have at 9 and 10. TikToking and shaking and doing, they taking and twisting and turning, and it's a lot. So, you know, we're kind of failing them, and we're expecting, you know, rocket scientists, which think high value.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I don't know if you guys saw the video where there's a little boy sitting on the couch, and this guy is in the military. He got on his level and started yelling at him and chastising him, like, "Oh, so you think you tough? You gonna cuss at your mom? You gonna do this and do that?" And everybody was cheering him on, and I'm like, why is he yelling at the boy? Why are you not yelling at his mom? Who's raising? He's a boy, you know. So I don't understand. Like you said, Miss She said, why are we holding kids accountable? Why is this little boy getting yelled and screamed at as if, he's right. He's doing something that he himself is allowed to do. His mother doesn't know how to raise children. That is the problem. And God knows where's the father, you know?
Handing out mother trophies like it's no tomorrow. You're a great mother when she don't have no support. She always need help or depending on the system, but she's the best mom in the world. Like we do that. This is the sister code. We sugarcoat everything. Girl, you got it. No, you don't. You struggling. It's hard. It's hard with 2 functional parents. So we know damn well it's hard with 1. Let's stop fronting. Okay. And like you got it all worked out, because them kids is going to grow up and they're going to start asking questions. Are you going to be ready to answer?
Question. Was it one of those I'm afraid of my kid shows?
No, it was a viral reel on Instagram. where this guy, the little boy, I guess he was out of control. The mom called this guy. I don't know if he's a family friend or what. So he came and chastised the little boy. And something similar happened. I was walking up, I was doing some exercise. I was walking up Stone Mountain, and I was overhearing this girl on her phone talking to like a teenager, and was like, you can't be yelling at your mom like that. You can't be talking back, because that's not right. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm walking past her, like, what you talking to him for? Why are you not checking his mother? Where is the father? Like, y'all, it's like kids come into this world. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know. It's our job to teach them right from wrong, And so when things go wrong with the kids by means of parents not being parents not staying together, mothers not parenting properly, we turn and we blame the kids. We're checking the kids. You're not checking like the source of why the child is the way the child is. And that's what I don't understand. And I think that it's taboo. I think it's taboo to check the parents on how their kids are behaving, because we're scared to like offend. We're scared to offend the parents. We're just scared to, I guess. So it's easier to go to the child and say, hey, you need to respect your mom, instead of going to the mom and questioning her like, hey, why is your child out here being disrespectful? What's going on? What are you not doing? And I see parents let their kids get away with murder. I've seen kids talk. I mean, even as talking back is like, that used to be a deadly sin. Like what, back in the 50s or the 60s, it was just yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. Now these kids got a lot to say. And that's why they're out of control, because parents don't keep it snipped at the root. They just let the tree grow, and then the tree grows branches and leaves. And before you know it, it's out of control. The child gets set in his or her personality, but it's because parents don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to correct things when they're children. They just let it grow and grow and grow. And then we have what we see today.
Shut up, Mom.
But you know what?
I just want to step in there and say something real quick. Something real quick.
Go ahead, take it.
So what it looks like to me, and we gonna have to go back to the sisters, okay, real quick, is that it's the choices we women make. You understand what I'm saying? It's the choices that we make. When you decide to lay with this man and you know that he is not worthy, you know that he is not your husband, this is the choice that you make. And see, women have not come to that realization that it was the choice that you made that put you in this situation. So when you raise these children and there is no king around, okay, and these kids grow up to be monsters, mama, the camera is on you, mama. The camera is on you because it's the choice that you made to open up your legs and swing from the chandelier, mama. This is your choice. And because our women don't want to accept the fact that this is their choice, they want to blame the daddy. But let me share something with you, mama. I got to share this with you. Why didn't you pick Mr. Calvin? Mr. Calvin had a good job. He wasn't on the street. He wasn't doing nonsense. He wasn't doing drugs. No, because Mr. Calvin didn't look nice to you. Mr. Tyrone looked nice to you because he had his pants baggy down. He was out there doing pharmacist. Okay, he was a pharmacist. He was out on the corner. He looked good to you, mama. So you went with him, and he already got 5 baby mamas. And now you done brought me into this world, and now I'm number 6 child, and I can't get no time with my daddy. But if you would have went with Mr. Calvin, who had the black Cadillac that went to work every day, I would have a daddy in the house, mama. But women do not want to accept that choice. You even see young women on social media say, I wish I could pick my baby father. Where you get that at? You wish you could pick your baby father. This is the thing. This is the thing. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense, because you can pick your baby father. You can pick him. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. Which All you have to do is learn how to vet properly. He won't be your baby father, he will be your husband.
Women don't know anything about vetting.
They don't. But what I'm saying is you take time. And this is what I share with women on my channel. Don't ask God to clean. Don't ask God for a man. Don't pray to God for a husband. This is what you're supposed to do. Ask God to clean everything that is within you that is not right for marriage. If you do that, you ask God to clean everything that is within you that is not right for marriage, God will send. You and this brother will connect somehow because you doing the work. You cleaning out what is not right inside of you. But our women don't want to do that. They want to sit around and blame everybody. And when the kids grow up and be like the brother that was in Chicago that did those haymakers, okay, on this woman, and then this woman turned around and told her son to do what it do, okay?
That's the inner screen cleaning.
So let me tell y'all a sure way to get yourself a good man. Close your pocketbook. Keep it closed. Keep it closed.
Close that coin purse.
Close the coin purse. Keep it closed and build a relationship with your creator. Let him align you to, like you just said, being a wife or whatever woman you want to be. Because what that will do, the men that don't have good intentions for you or no intentions will leave you alone. And the ones that want to be with you will marry you. It's just like what Takey just said. They'll marry you, and then you can, if you don't want to get married, then you shouldn't even be worried about having kids anyway. It's a very selfish thing to do. True. But if you find yourself on the wrong side of it, don't live in dysfunction all your life. It makes no sense because it's just creating this circle that we're in now. I just heard y'all going back and forth and back and forth. I was just sitting here thinking, well, darn, where do we start? Where do we start? Because it was like the kids, it ain't the kids, it's the mama, it's not the mama. Where do we start? We got so much dysfunction.
Retraining the youth.
It's the mama.
It's not retrain. It can't be retraining the youth. It's gotta be, unless you mean like the girls before they become moms. It's like that is what you mean, like that? Okay. Because it's like
I wasn't trying to evade responsibility for the moms at all. And of course, you ladies wouldn't know this. Maybe some of you would, maybe like Alexis. I know she's on some of my shows. I hold women's feet to the fire daily. The issue I was having is that we just can't be naive, I think, when it comes to these teenagers, because I have had the ability to see them in a light that other people don't see their kids at school, right? You send your kids to the teacher. Like your kids for 7 to 8 hours a day are with another adult, a different adult. So you see what your child lets you see. Now, some people do know their kids are bad, sure, because there's just dysfunction or whatever else. But sometimes, the kids are acting up or whatever. And whereas back in the day, as a teacher, as an administrator, as a principal, whatever, you had the ability to redirect and this kind of thing. But there's an adage in the education system now. The teachers are scared of the administration is scared of the parents, and the kids aren't scared of anybody. And that is why we're in the situation that we're in, because the kids never get chastised in schools. I'm telling you what I know. The children are not being chastised in any measurable, numerable way. Now, what you may see, do what?
They are here in Baltimore.
New Jersey too.
Listen, at the schools I be at, them kids be running amok at the schools. The kids
run amok, but they get chastised.
Do what?
I said they run amok. They get chastised though.
I mean, what do you consider chastising? I mean, it's the same way, like we were doing this thing at my one school. They were literally doing everything in their power to prevent us from suspending kids, because of course we know that warm bodies in the building, they get funding for every single child that is present for down to the hour. Funding comes down to the hour of how many students you have for however many hours a day in a building. They were so desperate to not rid themselves of whatever funding that a child provides, that they were literally saying, we're going to deter away from suspension, even for really egregious behavior. And we tried to use ISD, and then it got to the point where the kids, they liked the ISD teacher so much, and they just turned up and stuff in there. Half the time, I'm convinced the kids wanted to go. So I don't know. I've seen the bad side of it. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm jaded.
No, it
But
is
hold on.
that school is not about education no more. It's about indoctrinating our children. They come out of it not prepared and ready to be an adult, to manage their own time, to be functional, to get jobs, to do. The school is not doing that. That's kind of our job. We're handing over our possessions, our most prized possessions, to these institutions and expecting geniuses.
They're not doing it anymore. They're not doing it anymore. But before, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Before we go there, because this video has to be shown of how we can get these kids right. So,
no, I just want to say that when I was in school, we weren't being taught what we needed for real life, like the real word. We were being trained for the TOS test. And then when my kid was going to school, they got a new name for the TOS test, but it doesn't matter. They still train them for a test.
I don't even think
not life,
more,
not the job, not a career.
That's true. Everything is geared towards testing because once again, that's another huge part of the funding.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But Black Man, he got a video for us that is going to help. I guess keep the kids right. Help us keep the kids right.
Do it.
Well, I will say that this video, the next video that's about to be played, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to help. This is one of the reasons why we have a problem. Because we can't identify who is supposed to be raising the child because we don't know whose child it is. Here we go.
Sheesh.
Are not the father.
Told you so.
I'm sorry, Mr. G. Can you tell the court what you're feeling in this moment?
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed?
Trey. This Lord. I just feel like dang though. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good dude, man. I don't deserve that.
She deserves a fist to the face. Oh.
I hate seeing stuff like that. When we know that there's when you actually see the pain of him wanting that child to be his, it dispels that narrative. It dispels the narrative that never happens. That men don't want their children and this kind of thing. And then the one time that we're seeing it, that somebody actually wants their child and it's not even theirs. That must be so painful.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely is. But you know what?
That was her, right? Who said, told you? Wasn't it?
Told you so.
I told you so.
Look. Hey, but you know what? Because I want to wrap it back around to the subject as far as our grandmothers and the secrets, the good, bad, and the ugly. When it comes to we went off about the kids and different things on that nature. So what is it good, bad, or ugly that our grandmothers or our mothers taught us that could be affecting these things as far as the children and teaching them how to act or even teaching us how to act? I had a conversation with another YouTuber some months ago, and I was explaining to him that I actually had to think about it as far as like, man, I saw my mom being mom and being a woman and a wife. I saw it every day, but I couldn't remember any actual times that my mom broke down the technicalities between her roles as far as being a mom, being a wife, and doing everything that she had to do. Like I couldn't really remember those conversations, or telling me how she was the wife that she was, or how she was able to be the mom that she is. I couldn't remember any of those conversations. I saw her do it, and in a way of me being an adult, I mimicked those things because that's what I saw. So I can just mimic it, but I didn't have a script to read to say, well, in this scene, I should have did it like this, because I really didn't have those conversations with my mom. And especially in the community, our community, sometimes at a certain age when we're asking those type of questions or we want that type of information, it could be conveyed as us trying to be fast or stay out of grown folks' business and things like that, to where you may not think about really asking those questions. But me at 36, I'm thinking like, dang, maybe I should have asked those questions. Maybe when I got older, I should have thought about asking those questions, but almost out of sight, out of mind. So
Yeah.
I say it was a good thing seeing my mom, seeing my grandma to some extent do what she did, but I did feel like even now, like I'm at a moment of mimicking. I didn't have no actual book, no breakdown or nothing like that.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're saying that like in reference to what we were talking about before, like were we actually teaching the children in our homes? But you're saying, and I actually can agree, like my mom is a very, very interesting character in that way. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents been married my whole life. But my mom has only been with my dad. Like that is the
Mhm.
literal only man she has ever been with since she was 14 years old. So when I came along and I got of age, such wasn't the case for me. So some advice she really didn't know how to give me, you know what I'm saying, with some things that I was dealing with or whatever. So I just had her example to watch, and I knew what I wanted out of life. I wanted that husband that was strong and that, you know what I'm saying, put me, and my knees, you know what I'm saying, to an extent on a pedestal. Of course, not to the point of simping himself out. We certainly made sure we respected daddy in the house, period. If daddy's had a long day and he's tired, my mom will be quick to be like, y'all get out your daddy face for a few minutes. He needs his time or whatever. He's tired from work. But so to your point, Alexis, yeah, I think sometimes the best way to teach, maybe you can't always articulate it, but you just show them that example. And it's just sad that a lot of these kids don't have that. And I sympathize with that. I do. I just feel like maybe you can't reach, certain heights we know certain heights you won't reach without divine intervention. But I don't know. Maybe I'm blind to think that I just think that some things we can, I don't know, some stuff I just feel like we can see, like on a daily basis. You can observe your world around you, like you can observe even your own actions to say, okay, I did this thing, I've been doing this thing. No one has overtly taught me different, but my experience is teaching me, life is teaching me that I'm doing stuff and it's failing me miserably. I'm being disrespectful to authority and adults. I'm giving my body to a lot of people, of course, as women. I'm being combative and I'm not being, I'm not doing the shadow work or whatever you might be saying to yourself. I'm not taking care of my body, whatever. Can we not just say that even young people, us as teenagers, I'm sure we can remember some decisions we made that we knew were just bad decisions, even then when we did them.
Yeah, but we're talking, I mean, because like I said, I was trying to come back around to the subject as far as our grandmothers and our mothers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, like, if you or anybody has any examples, like you said, the good, bad, or the ugly, like that's why I was expressing, like, I don't want to say it was ugly, or bad per se, it was probably in the middle, because everybody, sometimes, like, we're watching it, but some people are not good at watching. Like, I know some students, they can ace all the stuff in the class, all the paperwork, but when it come down to that test, they kind of fail because that's not their thing. Or people that are not artistic or artsy, like they can't draw, they can't do that because that's not something that's of them, or they can't learn the same way. I can, I did watch my mom, and like I said, I felt like I was mimicking, but there were some parts in that I felt like I needed a different approach to actually learn it.
I think the problem, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think the problem is when I'll start with my grandmother. The problem with that is that at that time, parents didn't understand how to speak to their children, I believe, because they weren't able to equip them about life. Because my grandmother and my grandfather, they had 11 children, okay? And they had lived together for many years, married, okay? And my mama was like the baby of the bunch, right? And she was the one that used to get in the most trouble. Okay. She was the one that used to get in the most trouble. And at that time, you know, your grandma, my grandmother and them didn't teach my mother about drugs, didn't teach her about being careful of pimps and all this stuff like that. So they didn't teach her. If you don't equip your child about what happens in the world, they will fall into it. And not saying that these things went on in our home, I mean in my grandmother's home, but I'm going to share something with you. Some of my aunts and uncles did not look alike. Okay.
Yeah,
Some of them did not
the
look alike. And my grandmother was doing some stuff because my granddaddy was that dark purple, that beautiful dark purple, right? My granddaddy was that beautiful dark purple. Okay. And my grandmother was like a high yellow. Okay. And so the kids will come out, they got reddish hair, different color eyes. And my granddaddy would be like, you know, but she would tell him, Lizzie would tell him, that's your baby. And so he just went on and said, okay. But I will say this. Back in that time, I don't think men understood the assignment. They just knew they were supposed to go to work and take care of their family. That's all they knew. So they didn't really know what mama was doing. Mama was faster than daddy. So they didn't understand what mama was doing. I'm just saying that. I'm saying that since grandma was doing her thing and she was taking care of everybody, she didn't teach my mother the fundamentals. She didn't teach my mama to keep her legs closed. She didn't teach my mama to wait to get married. She didn't teach my mama be careful of pimps, because back in the day, you know, pimps was on the rise. Didn't teach my mama this. Didn't teach my mama don't be hanging around with so-and-so because they not right, because she was the last born. So it comes down from generation to generation. So now here's my mama. She done had all of us by different men. She doing all types of drugs in the house, got men running in and out of the house. So my mom has 5 children. So out of the 5, I'm the one that is different from the rest of them. And they'll tell me straight, I don't like you. And I tell them, you don't gotta like me, but I'm the oldest. So the thing is that what I'm saying is that because she did not teach, my grandmother didn't teach my mama didn't teach us. So we were running rampant. So that's why you know what happened to me, and I always proclaim this on my channel. There was a woman that I met, her name was Miss Karen, may her soul rest in peace. And the project that I lived in, she was the church-going woman. Everybody had the church-going woman in their project. You always knew her. One day I was outside with my friends and I was drinking a 40. She walked up to me and I had a baby. I had a stroller. I had the stroller next to me because I had my oldest son, and he's 29 years old now. But I had him in the stroller. So when she came, I tried to hide the 40 under the stroller. So then she walked up to me and she said to me, come here. So I came to her and my friends was like, don't go. I was like, no, I'm gonna go. So I went over there. She said, you know what? You stick out like a sore thumb. I looked at her. I said, this woman crazy. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Mm-hmm. She told me, she said, you have the Holy Spirit on you, but you don't know it. And I looked at her. I was like, please get out of here. My mama smoking crack and my daddy ain't nowhere around. You better get out of here. This is what I'm thinking in my mind. She told me, when you ready, you come see me. You come to my house. I said, okay, thank you, Miss Karen. I walked back, took the 40 from under the stroller, still drinking it. And my friends and them like, what she say to you? What she say to you? I was like, nothing. Y'all minding everybody's business. Mind your business. I ain't say nothing. So 2 weeks later, I knocked on her door. He said, "What you doing here?" I said, "I want to come with you to church." She said to me, "What?" I said, "Yes, I want to come with you to church." I said, "But Miss Karen, I don't have no clothes." She told me, she said, "Baby, I got something for you to wear." She put me in one of her summer dresses that flowed real easy. And this is how I found God. Now, I won't say, I can never sit here and tell you I'm a perfect Christian. I am not. I do nonsense. But it was because someone intervened in my life. So children don't even though, like you said, Jay, that they should know better. It takes God to send someone their way to stir them. It takes God to send an angel to stir them, because we all belong to him. We all belong to him, no matter what anybody say. But it takes someone to intercede to bring the child back to him. So I will say, even though we know right from wrong, I know my mama smoking crack in the kitchen was wrong. Yeah, I know it was wrong. I know she had men in and out her room and they was doing nonsense. Yes, I know it was wrong. But because you see it every day, you think it's right. So it takes someone to come into your life and steer you and tell you you have another way. That's my story, y'all.
Hey, look, I gotta throw some church up in there real quick. What was the lady's name that what was her name?
Miss
Karen, look.
Miss Karen, may her soul rest in peace.
Made because she did what she's supposed to do as a woman, especially women in the Bible. That's our duty, especially as older women, to help and teach the younger women on how to act, even if it is giving you a dress to wear in certain circles, which would be church. And so shout out to Miss Karen for taking her role as a woman. And I think, but that's us looking up to, like, honestly, I look up to my mom because that's the woman right there next to me. Then there's aunts and other women in the family. And these are the roles that they're supposed to have, which is helping the younger women to either be good wives or knowing how to be just women, and which in turn should get you to get a husband and so forth. So that's good right there. Look, I appreciate you taking it up here, dropping the gems, all of y'all. Like,
right? I don't know what it is about these pimps though. Like,
I do agree with J Mac. You know, with some point we have to see right from wrong, right? Because my husband and I both did not grow up in 2-parent homes. A lot of dysfunction. Street. Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, the hoods of Queens and Staten Island, like that's how I grew up. We didn't have that type of structure, you know, no type of organized family, not much love in abundance. So, you know, we had the blueprint of what not to do, pretty much. My father is one of 10. My grandmother had 10 kids, and to later find out there was 5 baby daddies. And I had no grandpa. So, you know, that was unique. And I got a chance to ask her and she was honest. That's how I found out it was 5. When I asked my family members, you know, nobody knows nothing. It's amazing. Y'all all lived here. Wait a minute. Stories don't have nothing. So, you know, this is what made me, you know, what kind of had us send us on the trajectory of podcasting, because Madison is 9. We have 28, 23, 18, and Madison's 9. So, you know, almost 50 years old and still have this young child. We're not guaranteed. There's no guarantee. So, you know, for her to come back and see mommy in her essence, to see daddy in his essence, and mommy speak her wisdom and knowledge, you know, is something that I cherish, you know, and it's like writing my memoirs, but it's in videos, you know, so she can see the full essence of me. So it's something that I look at now and like, I wish I asked those questions to grandma, you know, and I'm lucky. My mother's only 17 years older than me, and I am the baby of 3.
Oh, wow.
She was married to my father. So that was something that was done, back in those 70s. But that didn't work out. And he learned quickly from his mother that men don't stay around. So he didn't. Doesn't make him a bad man, because he wound up, being forgiven by me, and he is a good guy. He just wasn't capable of being a good father or a good husband. So that blueprint of the no shit man he was gave me a blueprint of the type of man to not choose. And I was wise enough to see that, but everybody's not. Because I had 2 brothers, we're all stair steppers. So I learned a lot from men. I fought with the boys. I learned, tested my strength, doing all the boy things. I went and took construction training. Like, I know how to do electricity. So it's so many things that we're capable of, but I still humble myself to men. Because I don't want battle. That battle that I see going on, I really didn't see the women in my family do that. Be all cantankerous in men's faces and carrying on until my brothers were dating girls. And this is when I started to see women are violent. You chicks are violent. Okay? So if my brother got to put your ass out to stop you from doing what you're doing, then so be it. And if you're going to continue, then, it says more about you. It's just a whole bunch. So I've kind of grew up seeing more women be violent and aggressive and combative than what I hear a lot of women go through. You know what I mean? So, I don't want generalizations. I'm kind of more of a wanting women to learn that men, they act like they're not, and they don't have feelings, and they can say and do anything to them, and they're not supposed to respond. And I just didn't grow up like that. I said something out my face, out of pocket to my brother, I might get cold-cocked in my throat. And not to say that they were abusing me, because I assaulted them as well when they disrespected me, but that's just how I grew up. But I learned in my marriage that that's not what I want to do. We're not siblings. We're not siblings, and that's not what we're going to take into our marriage. So just learning those blueprints, what not to do, is something, that I hold dear, that I kind of got from the lack thereof of teaching from mommy and grandma and aunties. And a lot of the learning came from the street. We don't want our children to learn that way, because a lot of them may not grow through that concrete. We are in Baltimore City. These kids are not coming through this concrete. Okay. You might have 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. From what I've heard and seen and read, that cities like Baltimore are in a really troublesome place right now. And when I say that, I hope that doesn't seem offensive at all.
No,
yeah,
I'm from Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I don't want people to think it just is what it is. These areas, right? So I live in Birmingham. I live in the greater Birmingham area. And actually, the reason why I was late to this show was because I was on another show with my good friend. We both live in the same area. And either just last night or the night before, 3 young ladies were actually gunned down outside of a nightclub. And whoever did it apparently spun the block, as I guess the kids would say, and they basically caught them again. What I assume happened is that when they got shot, they maybe felt like they didn't have time to wait for paramedics. So I think someone drove them to the hospital. And once they arrived at the hospital, the local hospital here, they opened fire again into that vehicle right outside of the hospital. And so these are all relatively young people, right? And I guess that's why, for me, I know what we're saying, right? But when does the onus because think about it. You're saying blame the mothers. The mothers are 32. The mothers are 34. They're grown women, of course, but some of them are even younger than that. Some of these mothers of teenagers are 15 years older than their kids. So how can we? So if we're just going to always pass the buck, that's a dangerous place to be. They're young too. Nobody taught them either. So so at some point, you as a human being, you have to take onus. And even I know Alexis said we're to the point. Then
nobody taught them the screw, but they doing that well.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so let's be honest. There's a reason why that phrase is losing your innocence. When you start having sex and stuff, a lot of the things inside you that are childlike, they're still there, but they start to diminish a lot. You start to enter a different realm of your life, a kind of a different chapter of your life once you start opening that portal and doing all of that. And we certainly know that some of these kids are having sex as early as 12 and 13. Some of them are having sex in the middle school bathrooms.
A lot of them are being introduced by adults and women.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I talk about that all the time. This idea of people exposing their kids and not monitoring what their kids are watching on the internet and stuff, and all these types of things.
Just
That's
falls back
sad.
on the parents of
Yes,
these youth.
it does. But I just feel like it's a cycle.
For them. I mean, we need to be holding parents accountable. It's not just saying it. Your sisters, your cousins, them no shit mothers, you need to speak on it. We need to save these children. They are not in a good situation. The father is the better pick, nigga. You going to court, I'll go with you. I'll speak for you. This is how we got to be, but we're not. We have this fake ass sister code for you to continue to do bad and bring these kids up in shit.
So that's the only time women stick to a code is when it's for debauchery. That's the only time. The second you step out, the second you say, I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard or I want to do things differently, then you're an other, you're an outsider. And I'm sure many of us. Yeah, exactly. You're bougie, you're uppity.
Right.
Mammy, pick me. Mammy and pick me. That's my favorites.
Well, they throw the scripture at you, judge ye not, or ye shall not be judged.
No, they don't know the second half of that. They just know the first half.
Yeah,
they don't know the second half. They only know the first.
They only know the first half of it.
That's it.
Well, I was with my husband in kindergarten, so what? I was looking for my husband in kindergarten. I found him at
Miss Anisha, you haven't said anything. You just been sitting over there all in your grace glory. Look, I want to hear something for you as far as your background, your mother, grandmother, as far as that experience. Was there anything that happened to where you feel like it was a good, bad, or ugly, and it may have affected you later in your life?
I kind of feel like an outlier here because I really kind of don't have any of the stories that you guys had. I grew up in a two-parent home, and both my mother and father grew up in two-parent homes. So pretty solid, families in that regard. I think our parents, though, did the best they knew how to do. Like you, I don't remember having a lot of conversations with my mom, but I knew the way she carried herself as my mom, so I learned a lot from that. Her mother, my grandmother, very quiet lady. I mean, it was hard to get 2 words out of my grandmother. She was just a very quiet, very soft person. But the way that she carried herself and raised her children was the example. So I think that in that era, they probably didn't know exactly what to say. Because I remember, even talking to my mom, because her mother was so quiet, there was a lot of things that she didn't, get taught, that conversations that she didn't have. So I think our parents just kind of did the best that they could do. For me, I think that those relationships, though, helped me determine what I wanted and what I didn't want as far as relationships and the kind of life that I wanted to have. And as far as the strange kids and all of that, as far as I know, that came from the men in the family, not the women. So that's why I say I kind of feel like the outlier in that part, because all that stuff happened with the men.
Well, I should have said this.
Not the women.
When who was that? Was it Take Heed? You were saying one of you was talking about the grandmother having different kids, and was
Look,
that
a lot of us had grandmothers.
A lot of us had
yes. Well, I too, even though I was blessed to be in a 2-parent household and both of my parents grew up in 2-parent households as well. On my mom's side, my grandmother had I want to say 12 children. And like 2, I think it's 2 or 3 of them, 2 that we know. And then one of them passed away much, much longer before my mom was even born. My mom was the baby of all 12 of those kids. So she has brothers and sisters, obviously old enough to be her parent. But anyway, yeah, my grandmother definitely had a couple of kids that were not my granddaddy's kids, and I didn't know that until I became an adult, and I
Right.
was like, oh my god, But I think the reason why, and you have to, I guess, use the word worked very carefully, because we say that those old time marriages worked, and of course I do believe that they did, but I think that sometimes we have to be mindful of the metric that we're using to say that, because
Mm-hmm.
we can't pretend like a lot of those marriages weren't incredibly toxic. Whether it was an abuse kind of thing, verbal, emotional, the cheating, you know what I'm saying? But I think what it was, as far as why they stayed together, was because, first of all, out of necessity for the most part. I mean, you're having a kit and caboodle of kids. What do you. But also that it
Mm-hmm.
was instilled societally in them, like it was a social expectation to do so. Versus
Mm-hmm.
now, it's not. It's almost the opposite. I think people literally assume they're going to get divorced. Like, I don't think people are genuinely even believing that their marriages are going to be withstanding. So I think it was just a different social time where it was like, okay, maybe you're not the most, connected to Christ couple or whatever, but you did get married, you have your kids, you have your household, you need to stay together for the betterment of the community at large. I think there was just a better understanding of that.
Yeah. And I want to add something to that because I did talk to briefly. I talked to my mom. My mom's 75, and so I was talking to her about it growing up, during that time. And I was like, I remember some stories and things that I've heard about some things that went on. And I was like, do you think that, when the women these were good marriages, were they really happy? Was it, like, people want to say that that was the standard. And her response was kind of like what J Max said. It was a different era. And
Yeah.
the commitment and the staying with the family, no matter what, was of the top priority. Whether it was abuse going on, whether they knew granddaddy was tipping out. There was stuff that went on back there. Make no mistake about it. But it was the expectation that no matter what, you hung in there and you made it work. And that's why I said it taught me some things, what I wanted and what I didn't want, because I knew some of that stuff that my grandparents probably put up with. I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to even sit up here and tell you I'm going to do that. I'm not doing it. But that was a different era. Like you said, where were you going with 12 kids? You weren't going nowhere. You're going to stay with that man and you're going to raise those 12 kids, because really that's the only option and only choice that you had to do. But the keeping the family together was of paramount, whether it was a good situation or not. And it was a different era. Today it is a different time. We have some choices, that we can make in those situations. And women in that time, they really just didn't have those choices. So it wasn't always, good, but they stayed. Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, first of all, as children, we weren't going to have these conversations from our grandparents, because they're of the age where you stay in a child's place and you don't speak until spoken to. So how are they going to have these conversations with you? I mean, my dad's situation, he only came out to me about Big Daddy because he's like, "What's your mom up to?" I'm like, "She's going to her half sister's or half brother's wedding." That's when he decides to come out about his half sibling or siblings. He don't really know how many he got, but still, it was prompted based on what I was telling him. It wasn't something he was just going to come out and tell me himself. Um, and my parents were divorced when I was 4. So, but watching them, they were great friends. They just couldn't be married together. And but I learned the only thing I learned from them is what I would not deal with. I didn't learn from them what marriage is about and stuff and things of that level. A lot of things I've learned is from my friends and my sister with her husband and stuff like that, the talks and just seeing how everyone carries on with their spouses or whatever. That's so I was adult learning.
Do you feel like your parents, if you don't mind to be candid for a second,
yeah,
do you feel like your parents could have made it work though? You mentioned that
No.
they were good friends.
She said no.
But I guess
No.
I'm curious as to why though, because you said they were good friends, and I feel like a good friendship is obviously a huge part of being able to be with somebody for the long haul. It's gonna have to be somebody that you're good friends with if it's gonna be a productive relationship.
My dad's temper that I have because it's hereditary, and my dad's the worst of them. So he doesn't know how to really talk to people. And because he's a man, he thinks he can say anything to his family. He's respectful with his siblings, but not with his family. So they'll be his ex-wife and children. My mom, she don't know. She don't know when to stop talking. She don't know when to leave you alone. And so, as a person who has grown up with anger issues, and I can relate to my father in these situations, and to have her come at me and at me and at me and at me, no. The combination don't work like that. Like they cannot be under the same house for years on end. It's just not gonna work.
I understand that. I feel the same way about my parents.
I was like, if I didn't deal with with him on his stuff and her on her stuff, I would be like y'all. I'm like, oh, they should be good together. But me understanding both sides, whatever, no.
Well, I'm glad you explained it. I was just a little curious because I've always wondered, like, in those types of situations, because sometimes people were never married at all, or they maybe not even were in a relationship and they had kids. But it's interesting where people are married and then they decide to get a divorce even after the children. I always kind of wonder what really, what I'm saying, what prompts that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, my dad would get mad at me about how whatever my mom would tell him, whatever. I'm just like, you never asked me my side of the story. And then when I talked to him and explained what she was doing, oh yeah, she does that, and it would get on my nerves and blah blah blah. I'm like, hello, why didn't you help me? Like just, yeah.
Beautiful animated. Did you just see how you just went right back to the choices we made? Did you just see how everything you just said goes back to the choices that we made?
But what I'm saying, what are you talking about the choices? What's up?
Because the young lady asked, you said that they were best friends. And that is one of the major qualities in having a decent relationship with someone. Yeah. And then you went on to say, the temper and, the emotional issues that are in, that you said you inherited. I hate you said that, but you did. All those things are choices. You choose to act out. You choose to be emotional. You choose it. See, that's the problem. No. You don't choose it? Okay.
No.
See, that's the issue right there.
No, I'm not going to take accountability for something I don't like. It took me years to get to this.
To get to what?
To having more control and stuff like that. When something is hereditary, no.
Like mental illness.
You don't.
Is that what you're saying? Is mental illness? If it's mental illness, I understand what you're saying. But when you say temper, I just felt like you meant I get angry. Is that what you're saying?
That's what temper is anger.
Yeah, but anger is an emotion. Well, it's not an illness, but it is something as far as if it's a pattern in your family, as far as then it can go down.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's when you have family members.
So is it a learned behavior or is it inherited? I mean, is it some sort of DNA trait that says, okay, I have in me something that will make me angry, or if in other words, is it something that has to happen for this to happen, or is it just automatic?
I never saw an example of someone losing their temper, and I blacked out at age 7, choking a boy. All my friends had to band together. So that would be had to band together to separate us, to save him.
So that would be consider something more, and I don't want to say mental illness as in a negative, but that would be more along that lines, not such just a temper. Because people choose. There are even people that act out to get their way. I wouldn't call that a mental illness, and I'm not calling what you have because you didn't say that. You just said a temper.
But it's psychological though.
Is it psychological, or is it just I get mad and I can't control myself when I get mad?
But even that's a psyche thing. That's what I'm saying. Blacking out, that's like a psyche thing.
Okay, she never said she blacked out, so I'm not going.
No,
I'm just wondering. I'm not
going to put it. Blackout was at age 7.
Okay, so you said it after the fact. I didn't hear you.
With no role model, as like not seeing anyone else have this happen, and then I have a blackout, and then I'm always being told to control my temper, control my anger.
Okay, so you're speaking of something different.
Showed me how to do it.
So you're speaking of something different. You're saying there is some mental illness from your father that you inherited. That's what you're saying. Because when you say temper, I see there are kids that have tantrums because they can't get their way.
And adults will do that as well.
I have heard adults say that they. Okay, but I'm just saying. Yeah. When you say temper,
but even tantrums is all a psyche thing. That's what it's all. I don't want to put it off as mental illness, but it's all a psyche thing. It's all of the mind and different things. I mean,
no, that's manipulation.
Don't we grow out? We grow out of having tantrums, though. Like I think most, if not all, children have tantrums, and the reason why is because. Well, it's child psychology, it's the child development, right? You come from being a baby and you're obviously given everything you want at your whim as a baby. So when you come into toddler age, it's a lot of cognitive dissonance, right? Where you're like, okay, hold on, I'm used to crying and you giving me something and now that's not working. So it causes a great deal of discomfort for a child. We understand that. But as you age, you realize, well, you cannot always have your way. And of course, this has nothing to do with what I can't see the people's headlines anymore, but
I want to go back to it because I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that? And I don't want to put your business out there. I was just basing it on what you said as far as a temper. Temper to me is just getting angry, and because I actually choose to. Because there's always an alternative, like we just said, walk away. But you're saying something different. You're just not. That's not making a big deal. Is that where I'm understanding BAS?
Excuse me.
If you're saying something different, just you don't have to don't go into details. I'm just saying this when somebody says they have temper, because see, this is what we're talking about. This is where the woman, and this is not about you. This is where the woman loses control and is worried about being disrespected. This is where that happens. This is where, he disrespected me. Now I'm gonna disrespect him. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not talking about that.
No.
Okay. Don't say anymore. Don't say anymore. I just thought that, because they all blame it on their temper. He done messed with the wrong one. That's this and this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're talking about right there, right? And to me, that's a
choice.
Those people are so annoying.
I'm sorry.
No, those type of people that you're talking about, right?
Okay. But that's what I would label as a temper.
They're annoying because people with real anger issues.
Okay.
We don't ask for this. You know what I'm saying? We don't ask for this.
Okay, so at first when you said temper, you didn't say anger issues. You just said my dad with his temper. and I inherited from my dad. So I was basing my thoughts about what you were saying as far as it being a choice on temper.
The word temper. Okay.
Okay.
But it's anger issues, basically.
Those people are annoying because don't nobody with the real thing. It's nothing to hype about. It's nothing to be. Yeah. You know how they hype it up like it's something good. There's nothing good about it.
No, it's scary.
That's why I agree with you, but that is what I'm saying. That is their excuse. That's their justification. Somebody made me do this. This is why I responded this way. You know what? I would even dare to say that those people, I mean, because the way they don't stop, the way the ladies don't stop, they won't stop. I mean, is it not an anger issue? Because it looks crazy to me. It looks crazy that they have no meter, no nothing. Biting, kicking, screaming to the top of their lungs, grown up tantrums and things of that nature. It may be something else to it, and it may just not be diagnosed. I don't know. But when you say temper to me, I say my temper can be something I can control. I can walk away. But when you say I have, and you said it's anger issues, and it may be something else, that's totally a different thing.
Okay, I understand more.
I'm following that a lot. But ladies, I want to get their final thoughts in. And this was a wonderful conversation. And that's a lot that you brought up, SB, as far as, because sometimes the wording and people take things to a different, so having that breakdown, that was really good how you broke that down, because right when you said it, temper, I'm thinking too, like, oh yeah, I can see that with temper, just like a temperature. Like a lot of times you can control it. So I understand that. But I didn't want to take away from what Beautiful Animated was saying as far as how she felt, because anger management and that type of stuff, that is an issue.
That's a different, right?
Yeah. So.
But again, she didn't say that, so I didn't want to make that what she said.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. But definitely. Yeah, I'm glad we talked on it longer and got to the correct wording. So
wording means a lot. I want to start with High Value Wise. With your thoughts on the whole conversation. If you picked up anything from it, if you want to drop anything on it, go ahead.
I would say that the conversation's nice. If I think it would be good, if there was action behind it. I think the closest I've seen to any type of action is what that guy Jay Morrison was doing with he said he wanted to rebuild Black Wall Street, and he started the first all Black crowd fund. And he even built what he calls the Legacy Center here in Georgia, East Point. And I think that's the kind of action that I really respect when I sit back and observe, because there are people, and there's nothing wrong with having conversation on the internet, but when you see your community suffering, at some point you want to ask yourself, is there anything that can be done about this, and what can we do? Like I said earlier, as Black women, we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom. I've had so many conversations with different people, because I'm very observant and I like to pick people's brain just to see how crazy I am, see if I'm the only one. And I've asked people all kinds of questions about their experiences with Black women. If you had to line up an Asian woman, a white woman, a Latina woman, a Black woman, literally surveying people. And it's so unanimous that every job that I've been to, family members, friends, they everybody says the same thing about Black women. And I've even gotten, some Latinos and some white people to open up to me about how they really feel. I had to make them really comfortable. I promise, I'm not going to kill you. I don't think you're a racist. Please just tell me the truth about this. Let's just keep it between me and you.
Yeah.
I get them comfortable. They let loose. Black women are the hardest to deal with. we have the worst attitude. We are the worst in customer service. As soon as you know Lakeisha's about to help you, you just better get ready. You just got to say a prayer that you can get through it. I was in the post office the other day with my daughter because I'm a small business owner. So I was dropping off some packages, and it was two Black women that worked at the post office. I think it was just them running it that day. And the way they dealt with this customer, like, I was wishing in the moment I could record it. You would not even believe it. It looked like something like out of a movie, like a comedy movie, but the attitude, the tone, and I'm just sitting back like, it just never fails. Like, how nasty, and like our attitude, you know? So for Black women, in order to repair the image of Black women, I think that, like I said, the decent ones, they got to separate themselves, and there has to be some type of movement attached to it. Otherwise, I mean, the little 0.5% that don't like what's going on, we're going to gather on this panel, we're going to talk, and we're going to log off, and the end, you know? So I'm saying it's got to be more behind it. And I'll park it there.
I feel you. And I try to push that for years. Like I said, we've been in the school system for 28 years. I have an early childhood instruction degree. I just didn't want to go into the school and use it. You're not going to waste my abilities. You're not going to use and abuse me. I'd rather utilize that stuff in my home and in my family. So it was a plus for me to go to college for that, because now look, I'm homeschooling the last kid, even though they got all the learning from us. But, you know, reaching out, I don't want to say I'm too militant, but I'm stern. I am like sistership. I'm not going to let shit slide when it comes to kids with your behavior and your mouth and your cussing and talking around the kids. Like, if we want to smoke, we're going to go smoke outside. We not, you know what I mean? It's just some things that's just not tolerated. And we're not doing that. We don't hold each other accountable. First of all, you ain't go back and hold your mama accountable. Again, we placed them on these pedestals, and there's still underlying issues that may be sitting in there that you have been putting on a daddy that ain't never been around, but mommy was in possession of the child the whole time. But there's no conversation about that. There's anger for an invisible man. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Invisible man that ain't never hit you, abuse you, he ain't never be around. But there's no accountability for mommy. You can't question mommy. What did you do with your legs? But we've had 30 years of Maury, Ricky Lake, Montel. Now you got a whole paternity court.
Jerry.
I have friends who's done ancestry and find out that their father that they thought raised them for over 40 years was their father. You talking about a psychological breakdown? It affects you even at 40 and 50 years old. So, and we're lying on our vaginas. This is where we are. I grew up in an era where men were told not to lie on their penises, but we were not told to not lie on our vaginas. We've been doing it for a long time, ladies. Long time. Who's the daddy? Yeah. I don't know. 4 or 5 different guys, or even 2 in 1 month. That's a problem. We're not teaching them. That's not okay. We're not teaching them the biology and the anatomy of their bodies. They don't know what their vagina is doing, what it's going to do later, what boys' penises do. We're not doing any of that. So they're going out into the world foolish. And now we have 20-year-olds who are extremely foolish. I have a 23-year-old who tells us stories, and they're foolish. Those are your children. So, you know, we got to do better teaching and bring more knowledge. And, you know, there's some that's not going to want to listen, and there's some that will. And I'm trying to reach out to
our girls to stop having sex. Like, don't have sex. Like, just don't do it. Like, you know, 15, 16, 17, like, you still a virgin. You need to stay that way. You know, the older women are not like, they're not speaking up like they used to, because the new school women were able to shame the old school women out of existence. It used to be a thing where everybody gathered together for Christmas. The younger girls are coming home, visiting home from college, and mom's all up in their grill like, so when you got somebody looking at you, you get married, what's going on? You remember when moms and grandmas used to put the pressure on the younger women on, when are you getting married? When are you having husband? But the younger women were able to shame them to the point where they just stopped. Now you don't really hear that anymore. That's so old school. It's archaic. No one pressures the younger women to get married and have kids anymore. So now, like, we're at a point where women are just focusing on their careers, and the older women ain't speaking up anymore. They're not telling younger women that you should not be, if you're not married, you should not be having sex. You just should not. And then they did it and it didn't work out for them. And they're not sharing their stories. They're not sharing like the depression and anxiety and the suicidal thoughts that came from letting men run in and out of you, having multiple kids, different fathers, not able to really pair with and bond with a high quality man that truly loves you. You will not share the dark part of what you went through with these younger women because you're so scared of how foolish you look. You have the need to be right. You don't want people to look at you like you lived your life wrong. So you hide it. You know, that's why I say, like, my daughter, like the man that I'm married to, that's not my daughter's father. And I share the story with younger women. You want to have all your kids biologically by one man. You do not want to be in a situation where you have a child and the man you're married to is not her father. She goes to her father's house on the weekends. She comes back to y'all, let's be honest, slightly a different person because it's two completely different environments. It's unnatural. Yeah. It is unnatural. These stepfathers, stepmothers, stepbrothers, it's all nonsense. And nobody's speaking up about it. We're just like sitting back like it's normal, like it's okay that kids leave the home to go to another parent's house. It's insane. And if you say something, you're judgmental. You're wrong. Oh, it just, it just didn't work out. We just couldn't work out. I shouldn't be shamed because I moved on to another relationship. Yes, you should. It should be looked at as a very bad thing. And don't be afraid to use your situation like I'm using mine. I'm very happy with my husband, but that don't change the fact that it's still not a good situation for my daughter. She needed to be raised in the home with her biological father. But I don't see women speaking up and talking and being open about their mistakes and saying, you know what, I want better for you young women. I don't want you to be in my situation where, like my daughter, where she has a biological father and a stepfather. I want all your kids to come from one man. And here's the route that you need to take that'll better your chances of that happening. You don't need to do what I did. Nobody's doing that.
Well, it's hard. It's hard for them to, and you're exactly right. Everything you said. It's hard you mentioned how we used to have the older women, but you got to think we're getting older now. So what's considered, so like when I was a child, whoever was the women during that time, they're not in that's a different generation now. Now the women who are grandmothers now are sometimes in their mid 40s. You know what I'm saying? And they're still basically acting the same way that they were acting at 20, at 19. So it's difficult to peddle a message to young girls when you're not doing it yourself. A lot of these women, and your life is not fruitful enough to be desirable anyway. So
those
it's like
can be the best teachers, if you ask me. Like if I'm burning in the fire and I tell you about how hot and how bad it is, like, man, nobody can tell that story better than me. If I am living it, meaning if I'm telling you the cons, the downside to my daughter having two dads and what that does, how it is so hard for me to parent and give her structure sometimes, because sometimes her biological father says one thing and I'm saying another. He lets her eat snacks, stay up late. It's more structured over here. So now she's like, I want to be with my dad. I want to be with, and let's not forget about the classic standing up to your stepfather saying, you're not my dad. My dad reigns over you, and how, and the trouble that can cause in your marriage when you have a child in the home who does not belong to your husband, that can be difficult for him to bond with sometimes, even because it ain't his child. Nobody could tell that story better than me. And so when I'm talking to a young virgin, this is what I'm sharing with her. You don't want my life. I don't care about how our Instagram picture looks. Okay. I don't care about how good we look together, how our melanin is popping in a picture. Let me give you what it's really like behind the scenes. You need to stay a virgin. Okay. You need to get with the men in your life who are trustworthy, and you need to have them vet a man for you. You need to have like 5% participation in the man you're going to be with. You know?
No, I 100% agree. And I wish that more young people thought like that, to where they could use people's lives as cautionary tales instead of only looking for the fairy tales. But just in my experience, I just don't think that they do that. And it's a shame, because they could learn so much to say, hey, not only do you want to know what to do in life, sometimes, a lot of times, it's just as beneficial to know what to avoid or what maybe not to do. And thankfully for you, which I'm not surprised, because you seem like a very based woman. So I'm sure it doesn't surprise me that things worked out for you ultimately. But then, of course, we know that a lot of times that's unfortunately just not the case. And to your point about step parents, yeah, to your point about step parents, I can't imagine how difficult that can be sometimes, that dynamic. Like you mentioned with your daughter, if maybe she gets upset or something, she might feel the need to say to him, you know, you're not my dad, or my dad said I can do this. And then that kind of throws off the dynamic of you guys' household.
And that hadn't happened yet, you know, because I like Mrs. She said like, I don't play with my child. I'm a disciplinarian. My husband's a disciplinarian. So, you know, she's very respectful and in check. I was speaking on what I see in other households, and what happens, and how that's not talked about a lot. Even how men who are stepfathers, how they barely speak up. They didn't start speaking up till Kevin Samuels came around, and he started saying that being a stepfather is a bad deal. Now, all of a sudden, men are coming out of the woodworks with these horror stories about being a stepfather, you know? So it's like, for years, men have just been silent and have been holding their experiences in. Like, man, tell the truth. Tell the truth about how it's difficult for you to love a child that's not yours, and how you want to knock him upside his head, but you can't, because his dad, maybe you and his dad may be fighting. Or let's talk about how you got to battle with your wife about disciplining a child that's not yours, but because it's hers, she really has full like autonomy over this child. You know, talk about the inner battles as a man being in that situation, because young boys need to hear it, and young girls need to hear it too. Because as long as we're hearing the fairy tale endings of these situations, like, ooh, second time, third time's a charm. Yes, I had to get out of that relationship, and I had to find my soulmate, and you know, he had kids, I had kids. We came together, we made it work. Like, they make it sound beautiful. Nobody talks about the ugly, and therefore, now the young virgins, they get into life thinking, oh, like, it's cool. Like, if it don't work out with him, like the other stories I heard, I can always find somebody else. I can always get remarried. We can always do a blended family. That's because the blended families are making it look good. They're making it okay, and it's not.
All right, so I love the conversation, and thank you for all your beautiful comments, everybody. But we didn't even stay on the subject, y'all.
I tried to keep getting your back. I tried.
The subject was first about the brick incident, okay? And then the next one was about, we was talking about grandma and mama doing nonsense, okay? So now the whole conversation has derailed to stepfather and how children behave. Now, at the end of the day, the choice will be of the mother. It all leads back to the mother at the end of the day, because the mother is the child's first teacher. She is the child's first teacher. So this is why we have so many foolery going on, because grandma didn't teach properly, mama didn't teach properly, and now the daughter is not teaching hers properly. So this is the problem. And it's not just only one woman on social media that talks about these things and put women to the fire. There are a lot of women, great women, that speak on social media about putting women to the fire, putting their feet to the fire. And we do have to get back to shaming. Shout out to Mrs. She Said. We do have to get back to shaming because this helped our community grow properly. But because we sitting around listening to people tell us, judge ye not and ye shall not be judged, and they can't finish the whole scripture, this is why we have the problem. Now, I like to go upstairs and get back with my king. I got a nice dress on, okay? So everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Major problems is people like this lady D that's in the comment section. I've been reading and paying attention to her. She done call us bees and all different type of things the whole time. Now, the lady D that I know of is an older woman. She's an elder woman. And if she has, this is my final thought. Oh, I'm sorry, you going for someone else? You want somebody else to go?
Jay was quiet for the whole time. You want to give your final thoughts? You.
Me?
You, ma'am.
Oh,
T.
You. Okay.
Okay, you were talking to me. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here listening.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Earlier when I was talking about like the teachers or whatever being a part of like kind of reaching out to the kids, I was pretty much talking about what the Take Heed was kind of referring to, kind of showing them that it is a different way of living. When my grandmother, anyway, she had 3 sets of kids. She had 13 kids. So it was 3 sets of kids with different fathers. So my mom was in the last part, her and my uncle. And so my grandmother had my uncle in January of 56 and had my mom in December of 56 in the same year, 2 different men. So when I started calculating and was thinking about it, and I gave her the look like, so you had 2 kids in the same year by 2 different men? It was like, you better shut up. And so by my mom being so young and her older sister right now is like 83, I think, it was no women in the house to teach her how to be a lady or about administration or anything. She didn't have that. And so she vowed to herself that, they didn't teach her about safe sex or not having sex. So she had me and my sister at a young age. And she vowed that she would make sure that we didn't make the same mistakes or relive the same life that she had. So my stepdad, he raised us since we were 2. So he was a very good man before he died. He provided, he made sure we would even sit down and have conversations about how to be a lady and the expectations of a man, but don't depend on him. Don't feel like you have to depend on a man and take his crap just because he's providing for you. So we would have those conversations. And I am 46, about to be 47, no kids. My sister is about to be 49, no children, but she's married. I'm not because I'm the rebellious one. But I had a lot of things going on as far as attitude, anger issues. It ended up being more medical because it was more hormonal imbalance. Which caused it, and I finally got that under control. But yeah, but it took me till I was in my 40s to find out that's what it was, because in Black communities, mental health, nobody wants to discuss that, and now we're becoming more out about it. But as far as the kids, we've taken in so many kids, and we're still taking in a lot of kids, trying to show them that. It is a different way of life. And I've had a lot of the kids we've taken in that were in drug homes and different kids and baby mama daddies and all that kind of drama. And now they're doctors, lawyers.
Awesome.
They're all sorts of people. And they constantly are saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're still a part of their lives and their kids' lives. And they're making sure their kids know that there is a different way of life and that this is how you can live. So
I'm gonna say thank you. Yes,
thank you.
Good
Very
job.
good. Yeah.
And hat tipped off to you for doing the work to figure it out.
That's
a step. That's a step.
Yeah.
I talk about that all the time. A lot of these ailments, reproductive ailments, are hidden. Nothing. I mean, a HIDA scan is like one of the most You know,
it just takes one good doctor.
It doesn't show. It doesn't show. So it's us about advocating for ourselves, keeping track. When you go in and they start asking them questions, you need to answer them. And if you don't know, they don't know. And they'll tell you anything. Here, take this, take that, boom, bam. Here you go. Get out of my office. This is what they do to us. So be proactive.
Yeah. Let's try this. And then let's try this. And then let's try this. Mm-hmm. A whole cocktail.
Be you ready for your final thoughts, love?
I'm sorry. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, sure. I just want to say it's been a great conversation. I think that I've learned a lot. I appreciate you ladies, especially the ones who are doing the work, making differences in young people's lives. That's a plus, T. Wade. And also BAS. Listen, continue to do the work, y'all. And anytime y'all recognize something, y'all let somebody else know, because there's so many people out here playing games, manipulating and doing things that you shouldn't be doing. There's a difference. As far as ladies making a difference, I'm going back to what High Value said. We have too many, I think, too many opposers. The numbers are just not working out. And then you have to ask yourself, who's actually speaking to this and what are we actually speaking to? Is it a married woman that would say that this is the way it should be? Is it a single woman that wants to be married? Is that the person that we should look to say it should be this way? What exactly are we doing? I'm just talking principles, morals, and standards and elevation. Just that simple. I'm just talking about better behavior. And if they can't even account for that, I can't imagine taking any additional steps. Because, and this is going from elder 50 to down to 15. If they can't handle that type of accountability, we are definitely lost. And I've heard some men say it before, we may just have to die out. And that just may be where we're going, because it's just that simple. It's about the choices you make. And if we're making choices that are very detrimental to us, whether it's today or in 5 years, then that's just where we are. And obviously we can only be planters. And what that means is to plant seeds. And somebody else has to come by, afterwards and water, and not all will get it. It's that simple. But I loved it. Had a perfect night. I appreciate this so much, and I'm getting ready to go. So thank you, and I'll see y'all soon.
Have a good one.
Good night. Miss Anissa.
Hi. All right. So great conversation. I really enjoyed the evening. I'm going to try to be short and sweet here. It's daunting, the problems that we're having in our communities. These conversations are great. Definitely more needs to happen. I don't know how to impact it, just to be honest. How do you change the culture? How do you change the music? How do you change social media? How do you change, this stuff? Because this is what these kids are being fed, and this is what's going into their psyche and developing them. I don't know how to change it. You can plant the seed. Some are going to take it. It's going to hit some. It's not going to hit everybody, but we just have to do our part as best we can with that. But I don't know if that's enough. I really, really don't. Parents, got to be parents. It takes two parents. I don't care what anybody says. It takes two parents. It is not the school's job to teach your kids about life. It's your job as a parent. The reason women don't know how to vet men is because the fathers aren't there. That's what the father is for. When I was growing up, you couldn't get to me unless you went through my dad. That's just what it was. You couldn't get to me. When you rang that doorbell, the first person you were going to see was my dad. So it takes parents, a mother and a father, to raise these kids and put the right things into them. I think that's it. Good night, ladies.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Who next?
It came. There it is.
Let me see. I forgot.
Final thoughts.
Well, I have what I was gonna say and then I forgot, but I'll just leave with this. I'm doing life coaching and I'm working with people who have anger issues, stress, anxiety, trauma, and I'm dropping the link in the chat. So if anyone needs to help, you can send them my way.
I can be a sponsor with you, because battling through that is something, that childhood trauma transcends into adulthood, and it is hard to balance. It is hard to manage. You don't know when it's going to surface. It can happen in between kids. It can happen. So, I definitely would like to build with you on that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds awesome.
So
Because it's no joke.
I know it's not. And for people who make light of anger issues or trauma, and the people, it's disrespectful to the people really dealing with it.
Okay.
So
we're gonna have you make some clarity of it. Yes.
Yep.
Hack.
Yeah, love you, beautiful animated.
Love you too, sis.
Did somebody say? Okay, I was about to say, because every time somebody talks, then I can't hear yeah, I was about to say I can't hear everybody at the same time. It's so weird. But thank you guys so much for having me on. Always a nice time on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I think this is my first time, believe it or not, I think this is my first time seeing Alexis, like actually seeing her face. Because she and I always are conversing, like she'll get on my stream and stuff, but I usually just see a thumbnail. So it's nice to put a face with a name.
Look at that beautiful smile.
Right. Thank you so much for all of your support. It was really refreshing to have a panel of ladies having a productive conversation. Look, seeing anywhere from 6 to 8 Black women get together and talk about more than just celebrity gossip and nonsense. That was very refreshing. So make sure you guys subscribe to the Tough Topics podcast. And that's all I got. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Awesome contribution. Said a lot about that education, man. They need to know how the inner workings is happening in there, because they working it and we don't know because we not there. That's my final thoughts. School is in. You parents, get your ass in that school and be a little bit more present than you was last year, because in another 5 to 10 years, there will be no education system because it's crappy. The teachers are leaving. The parents are pulling their kids out. The system, the curriculum sucks. It's not preparing our children. We got to do a better job. That's my final thoughts as the adults and the elders. Thank you, Black Beauty Filtered, for having me. I appreciate it. Alexis from Texas, take it over.
Thank you. My final thoughts. This was a great conversation, and really so much information, and listening to women of different ages give their own perspective on things. And even though, and I take it, like I said, I don't shy away from anything that may be considered a woman thing or a feminine thing. We're women, so when we all get on this panel, we're gonna talk. We'll go into the other conversation, then we'll try to come back. Then we go back to another conversation. That's just us as ladies. So I mean, that was fun in
Accountability.
That was fun in itself, and I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed hearing all the conversation, and I enjoyed giving my perspective and hearing what anybody had to say on what I had to say, and vice versa. So it was a very good conversation tonight, and I'm thankful to be a part of it.
Same. Seem like we're getting somewhere. We're having a better conversation. It's decent. We're not yelling and carrying on, and we're all kind of like minds. We're trying to get to the same destination, but taking different routes, and that's okay.
It is. Hey, it's what's the phrase? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon or something like that. So we all gotta do our part and try to get to the exact goal in the end. So But yeah, this was good. This was good. I enjoyed you too. Look, and I picked you earlier. I was like, damn, I had to put it in there. But we too Sister Betty for all this Coretta Scott-ish. Nah, let me stop.
Play. Goddamn.
Hey, thank you for everybody in the chat, everybody that contribute, asked questions, that was conversing and putting anything out there. Yes, all the cash apps, everything.
Shout out to y'all. Black Man Unfiltered appreciates your donation. He will get that cup of tea at Starbucks for his wife, possibly. Be nice.
Right. So hey, I don't know. I don't know if Black David is going to drop
an outro,
link.
Sir.
Oh yeah.
My